All right, we are already seeing the backup northbound 65 to go west on 40 to go west on 24, then east and westbound 40 in between downtown and the 40-24 split. Couple of added hurdles here showing up on the traffic cams. We've got 24 westbound near Shelby Avenue, a crash, and then 40 eastbound near Spence Lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's 7 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and I am here all the way till 7 o'clock, bringing you news and information that you can use and hoping that your day's going all right. I mean, man, is it gorgeous outside. I mean, it is just 76 degrees on the 21st day of October. I mean, abundant sunshine. And
hard to complain. I will even admit.
Yeah, this is pretty good. As grumpy as you are, that's quite a thing.
It's pretty nice.
But I'm telling you, it's so nice that I couldn't persuade the bulldog to come to work with me today.
I can agree with that.
She took one look at the patio and I couldn't get her to come through Grogu's garden. She just decided she would stay over there and just bask in the sun. And I'm saying, dog, today, I wish I were you.
You got it right.
You got it exactly. Good to be the bulldog today, that's for sure. I guess I want to start with what we've been starting with almost every show for a while now, and we're going to be doing it probably all the way up until Election Day. We are 15 days from this thing finally being over. Well, I say that. I'm not real sure that it's going to be done in 15 days. We're gonna count. It's gonna cast our ballot. We're gonna start counting on in 15 days. But I mean, even the Secretary of State of Michigan says, "Well, that's a Tuesday. I'm not sure we'll be done till Wednesday."
Well, in 2020, we had the results of our highest turnout election in Michigan history within 24 hours of the polls closing. The unofficial results were completed by 8 p.m. on Wednesday. So we're tracking that again this year. We do have more options to process ballots sooner than Election Day, which is where we were restricted in 2020. So I'm optimistic we could see results even sooner, but I would estimate end of the day on Wednesday as the best guess on how we'll perform. But that said, we will always prioritize accuracy and security over efficiency, understanding how much people will want those results. We're still going to make sure the process is secure and accurate before we put anything out to the public. But that said, we understand people's energy and excitement, and we'll be working hard to ensure those results are ready as soon as possible.
I don't understand. Tell me how it is that millions of people can vote for their favorite act on the View, and during a commercial break, and they get an answer, and they know what the answer is. How is it that it takes 24 hours? See, the longer it goes, the more I'm concerned. But I don't think we're going to know on Tuesday. I think this election is pretty tight. Now, let me just go through some numbers for you. Bear with me. Right now, in the Real Clear Politics average of polls and the general election number, Harris up by 1. Her number continues to go down. In the battleground polls, Trump is now this is all 7 of the major battleground states averaged together. Trump is up by 1. So he leads in all 7 battleground states. But I gotta say, when I say he leads in the polling data, in the averages, it is everything that I'm going to tell you for the most part is here within the margin of error. So there's that. Overall tight. Is the trend toward Trump? Undeniably so. Is the trend away from Harris? Undeniably so. Are we out of the woods yet? No way are we out of the woods yet. I mean, it all depends on how accurate these polls are, and as you know, they've been wrong. Let me just go through one thing, though, I thought was sort of interesting. So Trump won in 2016 against Hillary Clinton, right? So how is he performing now compared to 2016 when he won? Well, in Wisconsin, he's about 6.7 points ahead of where the polls were then. In Pennsylvania, he's about 7 points ahead of where he was. Ohio, 7.4. Michigan, 11.2. Arizona, he's up 3.1. In Nevada, he's 5.5 points ahead of where he was in 2016. And in North Carolina, he's ahead about 3 points of where he was in 2016. Now, the problem was, of course, that in 2016, the pollsters really underestimated Trump. But still, if they, is that problem still there? We don't know. We won't know until the election is over. Are they still underestimating Trump's strength? I think to some degree, yes. I think there are two factors there. Number one, I think that there are those people that you say, who are you going to vote for? And they can't bring themselves to say, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. For some reason, they just don't want to say that. Now, will they vote for Trump? Yeah, probably a large number of them will, but they won't say it. And so the pollsters, what do you do if you're a pollster? I mean, you've got to take whatever answer they give you. If you said, I haven't made up my mind, I'm undecided, or I'm going to go third party, or if I'm going to vote for Kamala, whatever it is, you got to take whatever answer they give you. And so if pollsters are getting bad information from the people that they're querying, then there's just no way you can fix that. So it's an unknowable thing. How much are pollsters underestimating Donald Trump? Is it like it was in 2016? Well, if it is, then he's in real good shape. If it's not, then, who knows? I did look at one of the most accurate polls in the last election, general election. It was Atlas Intel. Those numbers break down the following way. In the general election, Atlas Intel has Trump leading Harris by 3. And I think that feels right. Pennsylvania, Trump up by 3. Michigan, Trump up by 3. Wisconsin, Harris up by 1. Georgia, Trump up by 2. North Carolina, Harris up by 2. Now, it may be because they're oversampling the major metropolitan areas and not able to get into the rural areas because, well, quite frankly, those people are fighting to survive right now after the horrible flooding there. So I don't know that you can look at anything that's coming out of North Carolina today and feel like it's an accurate poll. I just don't think that's possible. Arizona and Nevada in the Atlas Intel polls are tied. So, folks, it's a squeaker. If I were looking at the polling and I were a Democrat, I would be glum. If I was a Republican, I would be cautiously optimistic. But I'd want to sort of temper my comments here by saying everything by and large that we're looking at in these polling numbers is within the margin of error. So, yeah, I like the trend, and I see glimmers of excitement. Cautiously optimistic things are happening, but I don't know. I'm telling you, folks, it's tight. So there you have that. Let's see. Trump, much has been said about him working at the McDonald's.
I could do this all day. I wouldn't mind this job. I like this job. I think I might come back and do it again. Thank you. Look at that. Mr. Look at that. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Nice to see you.
You made it possible for ordinary people like us to meet you.
You're not ordinary.
I mean, thank you so much.
You are not ordinary. I can see.
We pray for you, and you are the type of person we want to be the president.
Yeah. Somebody going through the drive-in, just, loving their moment with the Donald.
Yeah, I took a bullet. That's right.
Thank you, Mr. President.
When you think about it, I guess that's right.
Thank you.
Yeah, he bought the burgers for everybody who came through the drive-in. That was nice. He made the fries. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fry expert. Some people have said, his fry making technique was lacking in some ways. I don't know. But I can tell you this. I don't believe that Kamala Harris ever worked. If she has worked at a McDonald's, their processes haven't changed in many, many years. She should still know how to drop the fries, baby, if she knows. And I don't think she would dare go to a McDonald's. In fact, I don't think she ever worked at McDonald's. There's a story out there that says, McDonald's says that there's no evidence she worked there. Well, what they really said was, we just don't have the records to determine. So, I mean, in fairness, she may have worked there, but isn't it funny that she can't tell anybody or won't tell anybody which McDonald's she worked at? It's just in Alameda.
Or someone that actually worked with her at the time could step forward and say, she was my coworker.
Yeah, I remember Kamala. I remember she was working the front counter. And nobody has come forward to say they remember working with her in Alameda. But Trump says they tried to find out and they couldn't find anybody who could remember her. But did she work at McDonald's or not? I don't know. But it was fun. Here's the thing: Kamala's off, and she's angry and she seems upset. The early campaigning where she talked about we need to have joy again. Oh, that's gone. There's no joy on her campaign trail. They're freaking out is what's going on. And here's Trump. He's cutting loose at the McDonald's and he's making fries and he's having a good time. He's loose. It's very human, very, like everyday kind of guy thing. He goes to the game in Pittsburgh and I mean, the place was rocking. So if you just look at things, he's having a good time. He's loose, and she seems very tense and embittered. I think it must eat at her a lot. That this guy's, she's going to get beat by Donald Trump because she can't stand the guy. It's going to be interesting to see how it all comes out, folks. We'll see what we have here. Okay, so what else do I want to talk about here at the election? Kamala Harris is apparently planning to up the death tax. Harris's death tax plan would be the world's highest, writes RedState.com. The Democrat answer to virtually every issue in the country is a tax increase. From income taxes to corporate taxes to property taxes to sales taxes, Democrats have never seen a tax proposal they didn't eagerly embrace. And Kamala Harris, she wants to do the death tax in a big way. You know what hurts with the death tax? It will run family farms out of business. Family farmers are land rich but money poor. They don't have a lot of money in the bank. They run on very thin margins. If they have a good crop one year, they might not have a good crop the next year. You just never know. The weather can play a role in that for sure. But one way or the other, they have a lot of land, and so they look on paper to be rich. But I mean, if a farmer dies and wants to leave the farm to the family, that's going to be a problem because their family's not going to be able to pay the taxes. Where's the money going to come from? Death taxes really will run out the family farmer. And again, it's one of those things where land rich, but money poor. Beacon Center. Oh, let's talk about local here for just a moment. Beacon Center has a poll out. And not surprisingly, we might as well talk about Tennessee. We know what's going to happen in Tennessee, but here's how big it's going to be. One of the latest polls from the Beacon Center showed former President Donald Trump with a 21-point lead over Vice President Kamala Harris in the state of Tennessee. Senator Marsha Blackburn, who I ran into yesterday, with a 23-point lead over State Rep Gloria Johnson in the race for the Tennessee U.S. Senate. 1,200 registered voters. 52% of polled independent voters say they'd vote for Trump in Tennessee. Independent voters. 24% of polled independent voters saying they'd vote for Harris. So that I like that breakdown. And And this is interesting, just real quick. It has nothing to do with the price of bread, except I just think it's an interesting statistic. Beacon asked about school vouchers. And it's interesting that 58% of Democrats said that they would be more likely to vote for a candidate who supports school vouchers than Republicans, who came in at 56%. Isn't that interesting? What that tells you is there's wide-ranging support for school vouchers in the state of Tennessee. Like, we could only just get big on that and get it done. It is 21 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Hey, listen, it's the spooky season. Don't get tricked. Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling, your Rude Pro partner, will treat your family. They have 2 contests, sort of Halloween-oriented. One, if you think you have a scary furnace, take a picture of it. Tag Busy Bee with your scary furnace picture on any social media platform for a chance to win a date night on them. Couple of Preds tickets and dinners for 2. Winner announced November 1st. How about a Beehive membership? All you have to do to win one is carve a pumpkin of Buzz the Bee, their mascot. Then post and tag Busy Bee on any social media platform. As Beehive members, you receive 3 annual tune-ups, 1 for cooling, 1 for heating, 1 for plumbing, 10% discount on all repairs. Priority front-of-the-line service, $100 annual accrued replacement credit up to $1,000 max, and no overtime on holiday fees. That's right. And for as little as $99, you get all of that. For satisfaction guaranteed, call Busy Bee HVAC, your Rude Pro partner, 615-775-7833, or visit busybeehvac.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hear from residents of the Antioch apartment complex where a security guard was shot point-blank range overnight. That's coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's old Ken Weaver there in the newsroom, the bearded wonder, and the making sure that all our news is covered. And they're over there in the control room pushing the blinky buttons. A very happy Chris Webber. See, I'm looking here because I'm looking at the standings. Them Georgia Bulldogs. Bulldogs. Number 2.
That's right.
And I'm OU. I'm scrolling down. I'm scrolling.
Do you have the
scrolling.
Expanded standings there?
I'm afraid I don't see OU on here anyway, Ken.
Look away, for we are hideous.
Boy, it's dark days in Oklahoma.
Oh, it is.
But
Gonna get hypnotized.
they did beat Auburn.
Yeah.
Who hasn't?
Yeah. Tennessee up 4 slots to number 7. That's awesome. And congratulations to Vanderbilt.
Yes, sir.
Making the list for the very first time at number 25.
Yes, sir.
It's been, like 15 years or something since they've been up that high? Long time,
That's right.
since the James Franklin days, I think.
Alabama down 8 different slots. Wow, that's whew.
And those 2 losses will do it for you.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Yeah. There you go. Well, anyway, I know you guys had a great time this weekend. So we have a thing coming up that I think is going to be really good on election night. And I want to tout you on it and ask you to come join us. I think it's going to be a big deal out the Wilson County Fairgrounds in the Mated, Tennessee building. A big election night party. We're gonna be. I think we'll be there till maybe the cows come home. I don't know what time, how late we're going to be, but we're going to be there. And again, I'm not sure we'll know the answer, but we'll have a sense of it to see how things are going. I think the state I'm most interested in will be North Carolina. If we look at North Carolina early in the evening and things are going well, I think it's going to be a good night for Donald Trump. We'll see. I am worried seriously about what's going on in the flood zone. That's a red part of the state, and I think those people, from everything I can hear, I keep hearing these unbelievable stories about how bad it is in East Tennessee and how bad it is in North Carolina. I mean, heart-rendering, heart-wrenching stories about, people just struggling to make it every day and have lost everything. And when you're in that mode, I'm not sure that, getting down to the courthouse to vote is high on your list of priorities. I think your priority is, how am I going to get water for today? When you're talking about that kind of stuff. So I think North Carolina is going to be one to watch. But I got off track. We want you to come out to our little event there in Wilson County. All-inclusive VIP tickets. I think we have a few left. They're selling like your proverbial hotcakes. VIP tickets include food and beverage. VIP ticket includes alcohol if you're 21 or over. And VIP tickets include VIP seating. And, I'm dying to see what's inside this WTN goodie bag.
Yeah, I haven't even seen them.
I want a goodie bag.
Yeah, that'll never happen.
I don't think that's ever going to happen. So, but if those are the VIP tickets, but if you just want to come, that's fine too. You won't be in the VIP section. We'll have to rope off the, people who aren't in the VIP section from those that are, because you don't want some, everybody just coming into the VIP section if they haven't paid for a VIP ticket.
That's right. You can't have the ne'er-do-wells wandering around the VIP area.
There'll be a velvet rope, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Separating, But no, listen, everybody, we're going to have a good time. And it's going to be a really nice event. I'll start the drive there at 3 o'clock. And then, by the time we get to 6 o'clock, we'll be rocking and rolling. Dan, Chris, and Matt will all join in, and then it's going to take me not one, but 2 5-hour energy drinks to get through this night. I'm pretty sure.
Oh yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt.
If you want more details, just go to 997wtn.com for details on the big hoo-ha we're having down there in Wilson County. It'll be a good night. It would be a good night. I've had a great weekend. Went to a horsey ball. I put on the tux the second weekend in the month. I put on my tux, tuxed up, and went to this thing. It's called the Mells. It's a bunch of people who do fox hunting, and I don't know that they ever see a fox, but they They have a good time
They
with
like
horses.
to get dressed up and get on the horses.
They got
right?
dogs, they got horses, they got nice jackets with long red tails.
Yeah,
Oh,
fancy.
nice.
And gold piping and gold buttons and
They have a guy with a bugle that blows the horn.
I think there's that, but it's
Oh,
and
right.
the dogs going on. It's great, but they have a ball, and this is the second year I've went, and just hanging out with the horsey people is great fun. So we did that. Then I went to the Boots and Jeans Barbecue and Beans Jack Johnson event. Governor showed up. Marsha Blackburn was there. It was a good event. So we were driving a lot this weekend.
Busy.
To say.
Yeah. We were busy people, but a good weekend. And you guys, well, Ken, I know
football,
you've been in recovery ever since.
All I did was put together a puzzle.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Exciting.
Yeah, I got hypnotized. I don't like football anymore. I just do puzzles on
To
Saturdays.
just work on the puzzles.
Probably
That's
easier
right.
that way.
Yeah, it would be easier for you, I'm sure. Well, we're sorry, Ken, but there's always next year.
Yeah.
It is 31 minutes past the hour. Time for the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and I'm hearing forecasters say we're in for record temperatures this week. Full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. Channel 4 is talking to residents of the Antioch apartment complex where the security guard was shot overnight. Just last month, a teenager was shot at that same location.
I kind of feel like it's getting worse, obviously, because it went from like a kid in the leg to our own security guards. It's too much going on in the property. It's always something.
Yeah, this is the Ivana Collins Creek apartment complex on Bell Road. The security guard's bulletproof vest saved his life after taking a bullet at point-blank range, according to police, and the suspect still at large. Tonight in Nashville, Channel 4 says NDOT officials give an update to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. They're going to talk about Nolensville Pike crash data specifically. Also, the latest on the project for Main Street in East Nashville. Both these streets are part of NDOT's Vision Zero plan to eliminate deadly pedestrian and vehicle crashes altogether in Nashville. And this week in several area counties, you might see sheriff's deputies on your child's school bus. It's a focus on student safety at bus stops. These deputies are going to be particularly focused on drivers who drive past stopped school buses. It's a team effort between the school district, sheriff's departments, and Tennessee Highway Patrol. Failing to stop for a school bus in Tennessee can land you a misdemeanor charge and a fine between $250 and $1,000. And Miami Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniels has announced quarterback Tua Tagovailoa will return to practice this week after being on the injured reserve with a concussion. Tagovailoa asked about it.
Every time we all suit up, we're all taking a risk that we could potentially get hurt, whether it's a concussion, a broken bone, anything.
Says he just loves to play. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, the usual slowdowns are building. Northbound 65 to go west on 40, then west on 24, then northbound 65 to go west on 440, up to 24, then jump to 40 westbound. East and westbound 40 backed up in the usual places there between downtown and 24. And right now, it looks like we got a multi-vehicle crash that has just popped up. This is going to be 40 westbound right there before you get to downtown. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand from 99.7 WTN. If you're thinking about advertising this year in 2025 and beyond, you have to combine the power of radio with the power of digital. We do it here flawlessly, and our sales team can hook you up with a package tailored to your exact needs. So if you want to advertise with me. Advertise with 99.7 WTN. Go to the website for more info, 997wtn.com/epic.
Let me tell you about the folks over at Grace Point Healthcare. Affordable, convenient, and comprehensive medicine. That's what they're known for. They have a thing called a Smart Care plan, and the basic plan starts at just $69 a month, which includes free office visits and free basic labs for the entire year. At Grace Point, you are usually seen the same day or the next day, no long wait times in the waiting room. And Grace Point is your primary provider that treats the entire family, from newborns all the way up to seniors. Fall allergy season is here. Don't suffer through another seasonal change. Get complete testing and treatment. Enjoy the beauty of the fall season. Well, you want to do that for sure. Grace Point is a military veteran-owned practice. It is located in the heart of Franklin. 615-599-6868 to schedule your next medical appointment. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It's 39 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair. Listen, I'm hearing a lot of stuff, a lot of rumors out of Eastern Tennessee and out of North Carolina. I don't know how much of it to believe, and some of the stuff is wild, and some of it is very concerning. What I sort of attribute it to is bureaucratic bumbling. It is, bureaucracy that can't get out of its own way, and it's irritating people who are in desperate need. You also have a situation where there's practically in some of these areas no communication. And I think those situations, tend to, you hear rumors and they float. And what did you hear? I don't know. What did you hear? And it just gets out of control. So, look, I know right now within the sound of my voice are people who have actually been there. Now, I don't want to hear from anybody. Well, my brother said he was over and he talked to somebody else who was there. No, I want to know if you were there If you've been to Eastern Tennessee, if you've been to North Carolina, and you've been out there trying to work and help people out, and I know that a lot of people are doing that because there's a lot of good people who listen to this radio station, would you do me the kind favor of calling right now, 615-737-9986. I desperately want to know, what you saw, what you experienced. We're hearing this stuff about FEMA. We hear stuff about the National Guard. I'm hearing all kinds of crazy stuff, which to me, I haven't been there, so I don't know. But what I am hearing is very concerning, and I want to know, what you think. What I have heard most all from people who've been there, and I try to find, when I'm looking on social media, I'm looking at people who are actually in the region, and what I'm hearing is, from people, they're saying, yeah, it's crazy and it's nuts, and the devastation, the pictures don't seem to do anything to it. But I'm dying to talk to people who've actually been there. 615-737-9986. I think we're in a time where there are a lot of rumors. I mean, the rumors that you hear are extensive and bizarre, and I don't want to give a lot of weight to stuff until I can verify it. And some of this stuff is unverifiable. You can't get your arms wrapped around it. Talked to Dr. Kevin Mitchell, who spent the weekend down there. And one of the things that he told me was that, there's an awful lot of, you just stunned. You're just sort of stunned when you walk through the region. You just really can't wrap your arms around the devastation. And he talked a lot about the kind people that he met. He's way back up in the hollers, way back up in the woods, and he's meeting people. And these are very down-to-earth common folk, Appalachian folk, don't have a lot, have lost literally everything. And when you try to do something for them, the response often is, oh, I'm okay, go help somebody else with that. And they say, no, that we helped that other person, now we want to help you. It's awful hard for them to accept it. One of the things I'm hearing is that a lot of people are afraid to accept money from FEMA because they're afraid it's going to show up as income, and they don't want to have to pay the taxes on it. So I mean, I don't think that's the case. I'm not a tax expert, but I don't think that's the case. But this is the kind of stuff that's going on. It's a difficult situation. So I don't know. Maybe we're not getting lucky today. Most often we do get lucky. But if you happen to have been there, I'd love to hear from you. 615-737-9986. This story about FEMA really rings true to me from justthenews.com. Federal Emergency Management Agency is taking fire for its increased focus on migrants and diversity, equity, and inclusion policy while its response to recent hurricanes is under scrutiny. Many Americans assume FEMA is only focused on helping respond to disasters, but a closer look at FEMA's recent internal documents, spending, and public action show that FEMA has broadened its focus to handling the flow of migrants into the U.S. and attempting to double down on DEI initiatives on gender, sexuality, and race. Wouldn't it be nice if they just simply focused on trying to help people in need? In 2022 through 26 strategic plan, an overarching document created by agencies to lay out their priorities, named its first goal not as disaster relief, but diversity, equity, and inclusion. In its first goal, the plan promised to, quote, instill equity as a foundation of emergency management. It secondly named its priority is to lead a whole of community in climate resilience. FEMA's readiness comes in as the third goal in its plan. Readiness, not so much. Not so much. Diversity, equity, and inclusion, they write, cannot be optional, but they must be core components of how the agency conducts itself internally and then executes its mission. FEMA makes clear its plan that equity, which includes racial identity, will be taken into consideration when distributing aid, highlighting that there should be equitable and fair. Well, yes, fair for sure. But you know what? I I'm sorry, but when you have a person in need, it doesn't matter whether they're red, yellow, black, white, purple, green, or orange. It just doesn't matter. If that person's in need, FEMA ought to be there to try to lend a helping hand. They hired a marketing group to elevate diversity and engage employees in creating an inclusive workplace. See, this is what I'm really wondering about is we hear these stories about FEMA not really getting the job done. Is it because that they were so focused on DEI that they forgot the core mission, which is to help people in times of national disaster? Is that what happened here? I'm believing that's what happened at the Secret Service, and I have a feeling that as we go forward, we're going to find out that these efforts and this focus, this overarching focus on DEI this and DEI that. Again, I don't have any problem with diversity. I don't have any problem with inclusion. I got a problem with this concept called equity, which sounds like equality, but it's not. And I'm telling you, it just to me that ought not be the prime mission. The prime mission ought to be making sure that in a disaster, people get the relief that they need. That ought to be the thing that drives everything. But no. And I think I want to just say, as long as we're talking about, you hear rumors of this and you hear rumors of that. One of the things that I'm very concerned about with this coming election is that we are in I keep hearing the wildest stuff that you can imagine. I know you hear it too. I know you read it and you see it and you hear it, and you're like me. You're trying to figure out, well, what of this is true, and if that's true, well, and a lot of people are willing to buy into anything. We're in a time and place in this country where during this election, on one hand, it's Trump derangement syndrome, and on the other side of the equation, a deep and perhaps justified mistrust in government. Just a deep mistrust in government. And we have reasons for feeling that way on our side of the equation. And they just lose their mind, orange man bad, that kind of stuff. And it's not a good environment really right now in this country, because you got TDS on one side and just a deep distrust of government and anything official and anything that happens to be associated with federal government. Under the Biden administration, you just don't have any trust in it. And I understand why. Don't get me wrong. I understand why. But boy, is that a bad environment to be heading into election. So, as we go to cast our ballots, and as we get ready to count our ballots, you're going to hear, I'm just going to say it, you're going to hear some wild and crazy ass stuff. You're just going to hear it. And you're not going to know what to believe. I'm going to just ask you to do this one thing, and that is take a deep breath and try to think it through to see if it really makes any sense at all. There's no way that everybody's saying, well, is this true? I heard this. And hey, is this true? I heard this. There's just no way for me as a host of this program to try to sort that out for you. I wish I could be that person, but it's impossible, because every single day it's like rumor this and rumor that and rumor this and rumor that, and you're trying to figure out exactly what's true and what's not. All I'll tell you is, if it sounds pretty out there, then maybe take a deep breath and stop and don't react, but just think it through. Because I'm telling you, as we get into this thing, I fear it's going to be a pretty crazy time. A pretty crazy time. Let's call it 50 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Hey, have you heard about this item that Costco keeps running out of? Gold bars. They can't keep them in stock. Gold's breathtaking surge this year to repeated record highs hasn't stopped bullion from flying off the shelves. Gold is not only one of the best performing commodities, but it also means that it's outperforming other assets like stocks and bonds. The surge has been driven by its appeal as a safe haven asset in times of geopolitical and economic uncertainty. And where can you go to get gold when Costco doesn't have any? Well, my friends at Nashville Gold & Coin. They sell the same high-quality products as Costco and other national online retailers. They will not overcharge you, and as a bonus, guess what? You're supporting a locally owned business. Kyle and Hannah are true experts, and you can count on top-of-the-line personalized customer service. Nashville Gold & Coin is the best place to buy gold in Middle Tennessee. You'll be dealing with experts instead of some random store clerk with zero knowledge about precious metals. So make an appointment today with Nashville Gold & Coin. Just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
hear from residents who say their neighborhood has suffered thousands of dollars of damage due to vandalism. Police actively investigating. We'll tell you about that at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, let's take a look at the markets. Dow Jones Industrial down 344 points. S&P down 10. NASDAQ up 50. So mixed boards here today, but we had a good winning streak going, and that has snapped. What's going on? Let's check in with John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management for more on that. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, the Dow crossed back across that 43,000 threshold, which was a record, down over 300 points today. NASDAQ was up. S&P was down just a little. Actually, though, only one sector of the S&P was up. 10 of 11 sectors were down. Their market this week's really going to turn towards earnings. Big earnings reports, Tesla, IBM, GE, Boeing, and some others coming out. There were a couple of Fed speakers that came out today, and they seem to be somewhat non-committal about another interest rate reduction. The market really doesn't like that and uncertainty, so that's something close to pay close attention to. There'll be a couple other speakers this week, and then as the week rolls on, we're going to get some home sales information and manufacturing. So today, the Dow really was negative, though, based on the information.
All right. Thank you very much, John. Find out about all the things that John Maxon and the other good people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Just go to the website, AskBeaconNow.com. It is 57 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. And speaking of which, are your retirement assets structured to minimize taxes? Hard to believe, but many hardworking Americans just like you could be overpaying on taxes in retirement. You can be taxed on your IRA, your 401k, and any other tax-deferred retirement accounts. Beacon Capital Management here to give you peace of mind. With the threat of massive tax increases just around the corner, your nest egg could be in trouble unless you take advantage of defensive tax-saving strategies now. Defend your hard-earned retirement savings by scheduling a free retirement tax reduction analysis today. No cost, no pressure, and no obligation. If you've saved more than $250,000 for retirement, don't wait any longer. Schedule your free retirement tax reduction analysis from the folks at Beacon. Just call this number, 615-488-9303, or visit AskBeaconNow.com.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a Guaranteed Offer and start packing.
Four o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. I'm hearing about record temperatures this week. We'll tell you about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Nashville, Metro Police say a security guard's vest saved his life. It was at the Ivana Collins Creek Apartments on Bell Road in Antioch this morning. Channel 4's Jordan James says around 12:45, the security guard went to check on a suspicious person in a pavilion area.
His intuition would end up being right because within minutes of their interaction, investigators said that guard was shot in the chest at point-blank range. Then the suspect ran away. Meanwhile, the guard was rushed to the hospital and is expected to survive since the bullet struck him in the vest, as we've mentioned. Over the course of the morning, officers were seen searching the complex by sky and ground, even bringing in K-9s in an effort to try and find the suspect, but have not been successful at this point.
Yeah, all we've got so far is the suspect was wearing all black. City leaders are working to launch what will be called the Office of Youth Safety in Nashville to combat gun violence. Fox 17 says Metro Council approved $1 million for this effort in June, partnering with advocates from the organization's Southern Movement Committee, who work directly with youth in Middle Tennessee. Now, they're going to be in neighborhoods, schools, and communities to try to stop escalating tension before it ends in gunfire. City leaders say the goal is for the Office of Youth Safety to be active sometime at the beginning of the new year, with a director chosen by the end of this year. Franklin police investigating after several homes were vandalized over the weekend. This happening in the West Haven community, where one woman tells Channel 4 they go all out to decorate for Halloween. Chelsea Understander says they built a giant Gengar, which is a Pokemon character. It sat there for 3 weeks until Sunday morning when someone flattened the $500 creation.
You spend so much time building like an art sculpture like that, and then someone just like tackles it and runs it down. So yeah, it's just a shame.
She says some of her neighbors had windows broke and garage doors kicked in. One neighbor even had a pumpkin thrown through one of their windows. Well, something we're watching in New York City today, the trial of Daniel Penny, the Marine veteran charged in the May 2023 choking death of a homeless man in a New York City subway car, set to begin today with jury selection. 25-year-old Penny has pleaded not guilty to the charges of second-degree manslaughter and criminally negligent homicide in connection with Jordan Neely's death. Penny's attorneys have said that they were saddened at the loss of human life, but that Penny saw a genuine threat and took action to protect the lives of others, arguing that Neely was insanely threatening to passengers aboard the F train in Manhattan. Some witnesses report that Neely threatened to hurt people on the train, while others did not report hearing those threats. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, well, the good news is I don't see any crashes blocking your way on the major thoroughfares, but the slowdowns are definitely there. You've got the northbound 65 to go west on 40, then to go west on 24 there on the East Loop. East and westbound 40 is backed up there in between 65, in between 40 and 65. And then look for another slowdown to go northbound 65 to go westbound on 440. You got the usual delays there. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
It is 7 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson on this Monday, the 21st day of October. We are counting down. Man, we got exactly 15 days till this election. And, you know, again, I'm hearing reports of people turning out in big numbers. And casting their ballots in early voting in Tennessee and doing apparently in Georgia, man, they're just setting the world on fire. People are really turning out early. I don't know if that's what that means, and haven't gotten a breakdown on it. But I mean, I'm glad people are excited to cast their ballots in this election. This article that I want to focus on for the next few minutes is in justthenews.com. You may want to look at it, and we've got some interesting things here. It says top 5 threats to election integrity ahead of the presidential election. And so I'm going to go through all this. There are dozens of ongoing election integrity issues. A newly released report from a watchdog group lists the top 50 election threats, with facing less than 3 weeks to go to the presidential election. Election integrity has had a spotlight shined on it since the contentious aftermath of the 2020 presidential election. And although some states have made improvements, many issues still remain. In a report released by the Government Accountability Institute on Wednesday, it goes through 50. I'm going to give you the top 5, all right? Below are the threats included in each of the above categories. Number 1, federal dark money and Biden Order 14019. I've talked about this, and it hadn't been for a while, that Biden in 2021 put down Executive Order 14019, which has been referred to by critics as Biden bucks. Sort of a thing like Zuckerbucks. And it went to basically, it was an executive order, and it said the following. The head of each agency shall evaluate ways in which the agency can, as appropriate and consistent with applicable law, promote voter registration and voter participation, including soliciting and facilitating approved nonpartisan third-party organizations and state officials to provide voter registration services on agency premises. In other words, every agency in the federal government was authorized by the president to get involved in voter registration plans, and they're not supposed to be bipartisan. I mean, they're supposed to be bipartisan. They're not supposed to be partisan. But unfortunately, when they did a spot check on some of the things that different agencies in the federal government were doing to ensure that they were facilitating as much as possible, voter registration, it found, surprise, shocked, stunned, and amazed, I know you'll be, that they were working mostly with left-leaning groups that were organizing and registering people in blue areas, but not so much in the red areas. In August, 9 Republican attorneys general filed a lawsuit against the Biden administration, arguing that it violates the Constitution. You think? Earlier that month, 2 Republican secretaries of state had filed a lawsuit against the Biden administration over the executive order. Number 2, lawfare conducted by rogue prosecutors. Special Prosecutor Jack Smith, New York Attorney General Letitia James, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis have brought various legal actions against a leading candidate for the presidency. Wonder which. Yeah, we know which one that is. Using what some described as novel and at times tortured legal theories. I agree. We can all agree that has happened. Number 3, the idea that some voter rolls are dirty. Let me explain that. Under the National Voter Registration Act of 1993, states are required to maintain their voter rolls. However, some states appear to clean them more regularly than others. In Texas, Governor Greg Abbott announced in August that more than 1 million, are you ready? 1 million ineligible voters had been removed from the voter rolls since 2021. Of those voters, more than 6,000 have felony convictions, and almost 500,000 are dead. Also in August, Ohio Secretary of State Frank LaRose, a Republican, said more than 150,000 voters were removed from the voter rolls there. LaRose said, and all 88 county election boards finished the annual list maintenance process, which resulted in 154,995 voters being removed for being inactive or having out-of-date registrations. Last month, Oklahoma Governor Kevin Stitt revealed more than 450,000 voter registrations that have been dropped from the state voter rolls since 2021. The names removed, a total of 456,309 names from the rolls, consisting of 5,600 felons, 15,000 duplicate registrations, 97,000 dead people. I see dead people. 143,000 voters who moved out of state, and 194,962 inactive voters. Now, I've talked to you about what's happening in generally red states here. However, not all states do this, and they should. States like Michigan and Pennsylvania have a history of poorly maintained voter rolls. The majority of counties in Michigan have abnormally high voter registration rates. Are you ready for this? There are 23 counties with registration rates of 90%. No, I don't believe that. 53 counties with registration votes over 100%. Something not right there. Pennsylvania has experienced voter roll issues for decades. In 2017, Pennsylvania Secretary of State Al Schmidt, a Republican who was a Philadelphia city commissioner, told the Pennsylvania Senate Committee there were over 100,000 matches of voter registration records to state driver's license number with Immigration and Naturalization Service indicators. Now, it doesn't mean that all of those people were registered to vote, but we're not talking about an insignificant number here. We're talking about a potentially very significant number of thousands and tens of thousands of people. Wow. Non-citizen voting. As states have examined their voter rolls, they found non-citizens registered to vote. While non-citizens are prohibited in voting in federal, state, and most local elections, municipalities in California, Maryland, and Vermont, and Washington, D.C. allow non-citizens to vote in local elections. States across the country, including Ohio, Minnesota, Nevada, Texas, have recently audited their voter rolls and found more than, among the four of them, 2 million ineligible voters, including 30,000 non-citizens in just 5 states. See, but are the blue states doing this work? Sadly, no. You know what the biggest election precinct in America is? The U.S. postal system. Voting by mail, also known as automatic absentee voting, very convenient but can pose serious risks to election integrity. Ballots can be lost in the mail or manipulated, and a secure chain of custody is impossible to guarantee. 20% of poll respondents who voted by mail admitted to committing at least one kind of fraud. These are very difficult to verify, even when you require matching signature verification. Ballots can arrive late and raise difficult questions about when voting counting will conclude. Listen, I'm telling you, I don't like the voting by mail. I'm telling you, there's so many things about it that make me a little bit uncomfortable. But nonetheless, that's where we are in America. Look, I wish I could tell you that, people say, I feel like there's enough room in this system for a lot of people to cheat. And I'd like to think that that's not going to happen. But I'm telling you, emotions are running so high here. And as I said, we're in a place right now. On one side of the equation, Democrats are losing their minds about Donald Trump. You know, Trump derangement syndrome. And on the other side of the equation, you've got Republicans who, for a lot of reasons, you know, the things that the Biden administration has done to, you know, weaponize government, for one thing, has caused many people on our side of the equation to have a deep, deep distrust in government. On one side, Trump derangement syndrome. On the other side, deep distrust of anything having to do with the Biden administration. And boy, is that a bad environment, I think, to be handling an election. But what I don't want to happen here is I don't want, when we raise questions, if we raise questions about something that doesn't seem copacetic and something that doesn't seem right, I don't want to hear a word from those on the left about, well, you know, everybody makes that accusation, but you know, we know real evidence of it. We're raising the concerns in advance. We're truly raising the concerns way in advance. And we're talking about the things that are not right. And, you know, and you need to acknowledge the fact that, yeah, those voter rolls in some of these blue states are dirty. They haven't been cleaned in years. And when you have that many, you know, dead people, for example, there's all kinds of opportunity for somebody to abuse the situation. I've never understood why it is that, you know, on one hand, Democrats say, well, there is no evidence of voter fraud. And they say, okay, then you don't mind cleaning up your voter. Oh, we can't possibly do that. That wouldn't be fair. That would be an onerous burden on. We don't want to, you know, we don't want to take away anybody's legitimate right to vote. Well, there are things that you can do if you get to the ballot box and for some reason they don't have your name. There are ways that you can still cast your vote and clean it up later, still be a part of the process. But in the meantime, you know, when you have states with many, many, many people who are not citizens on the rolls, and this is verified. Everybody says it doesn't happen. Here's the evidence. They found it in some of these states when they went through and did a serious look at their voting rolls. So don't tell me that it's not possible, that it can't happen, that there's no real evidence of it. Yeah, here's the evidence right here. When you have that many dead people, when you have that many non-citizens, when you have all of these people that are on the voting rolls, then there is the opportunity for someone to take advantage of those dirty rolls. So there's a lot of stuff out there to talk about. And what I don't want is, at the end of the day, if we say, well, wait a minute, there's something about when you have counties in battleground states where more than 100% of the people are registered to vote, that's not possible. That's not possible. Tell me that there's not room for things to go wrong, for people to abuse that situation. How can you have more than 100% registered? It tells me that you haven't cleaned your voter rolls in a very, very long time. And sadly, I must tell you, the thing that does concern me a great deal is if there is, some question about something that happened in a particular precinct. The real problem here is that you have a very limited window of time to try to prove your point. From the time the votes are counted to the time they have to be certified, if you can't prove your case in that narrow window, and by the way, all the while when you're trying to get the data, the other side is going to be dragging their feet to make sure you don't get it, make sure that you don't have it. And the lawyers are going to be involved and at the end of the day. But if you can't prove your point in that narrow window between the time the ballots are cast and the day that those elections are certified, then you don't have much of a chance of impacting change. But when Democrats tell you that there's no real problem with people who are abusing the system. There certainly is a lot of room for abuse, let's put it that way. And they've left it wide open. 21 minutes now past the hour. All right, was it stinky the last time you went to an auto repair shop? Smelly, greasy old rags lying around, a filthy countertop that you wouldn't touch? I'll tell you something else that stinks. It's the repair shops that keep your car forever. They're not honest, and they don't call you back when they say they will. If that was your last experience at a vehicle repair shop, well, I want to tell you about Eurofix. Eurofix takes the stink out of European auto repair. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. No high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And you'll never pay dealer prices. Eurofix now in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and Mount Juliet. Call this number, 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX. Or visit myEurofix.com and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Pedestrians killed and hurt over the weekend in downtown Nashville, and a state lawmaker urging Metro Nashville for changes after the seemingly random murder of a jogger. These stories and more coming up at 4:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, Kamala Harris is well, she's not fine. Remember when she came out, everybody said, oh, there's joy. She's bringing joy back to politics. And she was out there having a good time, moving and grooving and doing all that kind of stuff. And everybody said, well, it's joyful, And then now she's not so joyful. The other thing about Kamala Harris is that when you listen to her, she doesn't seem to stand by any of the earlier positions that she once held. She's trying to present herself as somebody that she's not. And somebody put this together, one of the campaigns put this together, Senate campaigns, and talked about, how very liberal her positions are. And I think it's worth our time just to remember exactly some of the things that she said in the past. Because when she has said some things, and when you listen back to them, you go, wow, how can she claim to be the things that she is now when she has said the things that she has said in the past?
Far too long. The status quo thinking has been the idea that more police equals more safety. And that's just wrong. Well, that's wrong. And that's just wrong.
Will everyone have to drive electric cars?
Zero emission vehicles. Only 100%. I support our sanctuary law. There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. How dare we speak Merry Christmas? How dare we? Our undocumented immigrants that are the least likely to commit a crime.
People who are convicted in prison, like the Boston Marathon bomber, on death row, people who are convicted of sexual assault, they should be able to vote?
I think we should have that conversation.
So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Let's eliminate all of that. Let's move on. It has to be about a goal of saying everybody should end up in the same place. Everyone should end up in the same place. I am prepared to get rid of the filibuster to pass a Green New Deal. Surgery.
For prisoners.
For prisoners. I made sure that they changed the policy so that every transgender inmate in the prison system would have access to the medical care.
What is the solution for voters in the fossil fuel industry?
Giving the workers an ability to transition.
Coal miners.
Yes.
Oil field workers.
Yep.
Auto workers. Farmers.
Let's transition those folks.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes.
Do you ban plastic straws?
I think we should. It's critically important on day one that we end any fossil fuel leases on public lands, including our farmers in what we do to transition.
Would you support changing the dietary guidelines?
Yes.
The food pyramid, but people
yes.
To reduce red meat specifically.
Yes.
Abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Is that a position you agree with?
And we need to probably think about starting from scratch. As Attorney General, informed California law enforcement that ICE detainers are not mandatory. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented and cross the border as criminals. That's correct.
Raise your hand if you think it should be a civil offense rather than a crime to cross the border.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. Your immigrant status, whatever it is, does not, in our mind's eye, designate you as a criminal. I am not for a wall. We don't need to build a wall. By definition, just plain speak, basic English language definition, it is not an emergency. Deal with the problem. We have 11 million people here who need a pathway to citizenship.
You support giving universal health care, Medicare for all, to people who are in this country illegally?
Let me just be very clear about this. I am opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public health, period.
Should someone who is here without documents, and that is his only offense, should that person be deported?
No, absolutely not. They should not be deported.
Down, down with deportation! Up, up with education! Down, down with deportation!
See no.
Are you aware that there's a
that
perception?
Puts ICE in the same category as the KKK. Is that what you're asking me?
Would you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one.
Every single carbon emission in the country, every car, should be eliminated within the next 11 years. Everything from a 70 to 80% tax rate.
I think that's fantastic.
What issues do you break from her on?
Oh, I'm not going to try to itemize issues that we might not have total agreement on.
Are you open to expanding the size of the Supreme Court?
I am open to that discussion.
Do you think that sex work ought to be decriminalized?
I think so. When you're talking about consenting adults, I think that, yes, we should really consider that we can't criminalize consensual behavior.
I mean, this is Kamala Harris in her own words, ladies and gentlemen. You can't deny the positions that she has held. Oh, she doesn't talk about these things on the campaign trail now. But there's no denying the positions that she has held. Just don't let anybody sell you down the river to tell you that she's somehow become a moderate. That's simply not true.
Yes, I am.
And 30 minutes now past the hour.
We should do away with.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic coming up in 5 minutes. 2 people are dead and several injured after crashes into pedestrians in downtown Nashville this weekend. Channel 4 says it has people like Jeannie Stenner, who went to a concert with friends, constantly looking out for cars after hearing about the crashes.
It's scary. It's dangerous. I don't know how they can improve it, slow the speed limit down. I don't know. Make more time for people to walk across, make it more visible.
She and her friends say they would like to see more roads closed downtown to make it safer for people who are walking. A state lawmaker is calling on Metro leaders to make greenways safer after the seemingly random murder of a woman out exercising last week. Since the shooting death of Alyssa Lokitz, Fox 17 Democratic State Rep Jason Powell penned a letter to Mayor O'Connell, Police Chief John Drake, and Metro Parks Director that a good start would be active patrolling by police bicycle teams on greenways, improved lighting, and emergency call stations. Money News, here's Chuck Severson.
After steady record highs and advances by the major indexes, maybe some profit-taking Monday with a mixed outcome. The Dow lost 344 points. The S&P 500 down 11, coming off its 6th straight winning week, its longest such stretch of the year. But the Nasdaq gained 50 points. Trading was mixed in markets around the world. Crude oil prices rose to regain some of last week's sharp losses, while U.S. Treasury yields climbed and stock indexes mostly fell in Europe after finishing mixed in Asia. The rise in yields helped knock down stocks that tend to get hurt by higher interest rates, such as big dividend payers and businesses in the housing industry. Real estate owners fell to the sharpest loss among the 11 sectors that make up the S&P 500 index, while home builders, Lennar and D.R. Horton, both fell. More than 100 companies in the S&P 500 are on deck to give details this week about their performances during the summer.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, in addition to the usual slowdown, we have a few crashes to contend with out there. We've got 65 northbound at Old Hickory Boulevard in Madison. Then over here in West Nashville, the Nations, you've got a crash, Briley Parkway southbound at I-40 West. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about Spice and Easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
It is 38 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair all the way till 7 o'clock on this beautiful October day, 21st day, 77 degrees. We got 15 days till this election, our long national nightmare. I'm afraid will not be over on election day, but one way or the other, we're going to be here to see you through it. That's right. And by the way, just want to remind you all that if you are thinking about what you want to do on election night, we'd love it if you joined us at the Wilson County Fairgrounds at the Made in Tennessee building. We're going to be having our big election party. And there's two ways you can go. One is just, come on in the door. The other is if you want to get the all-inclusive VIP ticket, which will include food and beverage and some alcohol if you're over 21 and you want some. VIP seating, and, of course, the highly coveted WTN goodie bag.
That's worth the price right there.
I wonder if there's going to be some Tootsie Rolls or something in there. That'd be a goodie.
Probably some half-empty water bottles. We got some of those laying around here.
I'm sure I'm sure it's a fine goodie bag.
Oh yeah.
But
because it's not for us, so of course it would be good.
I don't have no WTN goodies, but I'm sure it'll be fine. No, I mean really, it'll be a nice thing. And then but there's plenty of room. So plan on coming. I'll be there at 3 o'clock to start the broadcast. The drive will start at 3, and then I'll be joined at some point along the way by Dan, Chris, Matt, and we will we're going to carry on late into the evening, and I think it's going to be a good night to be around people who see the world the way you do. Let's see. A big report came out. Another one. There's so many reports about this first assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. And it came out today. And this is the House Task Force. Now, this is a bipartisan group of congressmen. And I will say that, in looking at this report, you're talking about really serious, thoughtful people. Well, I mean, they're members of Congress, but other than that, serious, thoughtful people. And they were seriously looking at this thing and trying to find out what went wrong. And really, nobody trying to play for political posturing here. Just really, truly concerned about the Secret Service and how badly things were botched on that day and back in the summer in Butler, Pennsylvania. A preliminary report by the House Task Force on the attempted assassination of Donald Trump provides new detail about the lack of coordination between the Secret Service and state and local law enforcement officers that contributed to Trump nearly being killed and the murder of a rally-goer, Corey Contemperator. The report released early Monday asserts that a local law enforcement officer said he fired at shooter Thomas Crooks before the Secret Service counter-sniper fired the shot that killed him, and that this first shot may have caused Crooks to stop shooting. But House Task Force investigators concluded that the order of the shots remains unclear. Crooks' autopsy shows that only one bullet entered Crooks and his head, and credits the Secret Service counter-sniper for firing that shot. Speaker Mike Johnson and Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries appointed the task force, which was headed by Representative Mike Kelly of Pennsylvania and Jason Crow of Colorado. As part of its ongoing investigation, the panel interviewed 23 state and local law enforcement witnesses, received a series of Secret Service briefings, and obtained thousands of pages of documentation in response to federal, state, and local agencies. Many of the findings similar to those that others have reported, but a section on fragmented lines of communication and unclear lines of communication and chains of command provide new details about the failures that led to no law enforcement officer engaging with Crooks until he was on a rooftop only 200 yards from Trump in the crowd. It also provides more information as to why the threat Crooks posed was not communicated to the innermost ring of Secret Service agents protecting the former president on the stage, so they could remove the candidate from the dais before Crooks opened fire. That's the most baffling thing, is that people were starting to notice. People were starting to send up the flares, but left hand, right hand kind of thing. Left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing. And the locals knew something was going on, but it was not being communicated in a very efficient manner to the folks in charge of the Secret Service Command Center. In fact, they weren't even in the same room, which is just mind-blowing. One point that raised my suspicion is he was looking directly at the window I was positioned at, the officer told investigators. He looked up at the window I was positioned at and kept looking at it. The officer surmised that Crooks was trying to see if anyone was inside the building. The officer told another officer from Beaver County Emergency Services Unit about Crooks, and the second officer also observed similar behavior, that Crooks was walking pretty close to the building, kind of looking up and down the building, and I just thought that was odd. So that was 40 minutes beforehand. 40 minutes beforehand. So the very detailed TikTok here about when the locals were noticing this guy, and then somehow really defying all logic, and it was as if none of this information was making its way in a timely fashion to the Secret Service. Why would there be such a lack of communication, siloed communication? I can't tell you how many times I've seen things that becomes problem because of communication, the lack of communication. From the Washington Post, the deadly shooting, July 13th, Donald Trump rally was preventable, but multiple security failures allowed a 20-year-old gunman to climb atop an unsecured roof and fire 8 shots, killing an attendee and wounding Trump and 2 others. The bipartisan House Task Force investigating the attack wrote in a preliminary report released today. 53 pages. The report largely echoes preliminary reports released by the Secret Service, said the Senate Homeland Security and Government Affairs Committee last month. Put simply, the evidence obtained by the task force to date shows the tragic and shocking events of July 13th were preventable and should not have happened. Several of the report's key findings were already publicly known, but interviews with local law enforcement officials provided more detail on the Secret Service's failure to adequately prepare for the rally and establish day of lines of communication between local and federal law enforcement. This is not all, though. The task force will continue to interview federal and local officials familiar with the events of July 13th. As they enter the next phase of their investigation. A separate independent panel that released its own findings on the 13th of July incident last week called for dramatic changes of the U.S. Secret Service. The panel concluded that the protective agency had become bureaucratic, complacent, and static, calling for new leadership from outside the agency. The bipartisan task force did not offer recommendations for the agency in its report, but authored a scathing assessment of the security failures that led to the shooting. In the days leading up to the rally, it was not a single mistake that allowed crooks to outmaneuver one of our country's most elite groups of security professionals. There were security failures on multiple fronts, Representative Mike Kelly, chairman of the task force, said in a statement. Preventable. Foreseeable, but they didn't see it in real time, did they? Folks, I'm coming to the conclusion that what we have here is the result of sort of a different approach to management that has infiltrated the executive branch during the years when Joe Biden was president. It has, I think, a lot to do with, I keep coming back to this. Clearly something went wrong, lines of communication, but why was it that the person in charge of security at this event so badly bungled it? That they didn't think to cover the roof, that the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing, that the local police could not talk to the Secret Service and vice versa. How is it that could happen? Well, it means that some level of incompetence had crept into this once elite organization. And when I keep looking at it, well, what would cause that? What would cause this thing to go from being such an elite organization to being something less than that? And I think it means that there were people who were not qualified to do their jobs in high-ranking positions within the Secret Service. And then well, how did that happen? And I keep coming back to one answer. DEI. It has infiltrated virtually every agency in the federal government while Joe Biden has been president. This idea that we need to have an equal outcome, and so we're going to promote people even if they're not ready, because we got to have an equal outcome here, not letting, the best and the brightest rise through the ranks. No, that's no longer success. And being good at your job is not enough in a Biden world. Now we have to make up for past, issues. We have to look at things not from a thing about just giving everybody an equal chance, but to having an equal outcome as they rise through the ranks. I think this is what happened to the Secret Service. I think they got infiltrated with people who were promoted, even though they weren't very good, in the name of DEI. I think that's what's happening at FEMA. I think that's why FEMA is blowing it so badly in eastern Tennessee and in North Carolina and other places. You have people in high-ranking positions who were there not because they were the best and not because they were the brightest, but because, well, equity. We need equity. Now, when the director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, wanted to make sure not that the protectees were protected, which is the prime mission of the Secret Service, but that 30% of the people who were in the Secret Service were going to be women. Now, I don't have a problem with women being in the Secret Service. Trust me, I don't. But they got to be qualified. And I think a lot of people rose through the ranks very rapidly and found themselves in positions of management authority, and they weren't very good. And from what I'm understanding, the lead agent in this particular case in Butler, Pennsylvania, was one of them. I think, as you know, if the good Lord willing and Donald Trump wins this election and things are moving back and he becomes in control of the executive branch, I hope a lot of that nonsense can be rooted out, because I think we as taxpayers are not being well served. And in this particular case, it nearly cost Donald Trump his life. I mean, so close. 50 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Did you know that you're funding America's future, and it's not the future that you want for you or your kids? Most major credit cards funnel millions to liberal causes and candidates hoping you don't notice. Take a stand and get the woke out of your wallet. Coin is the conservative credit card. You earn cash back while advancing a conservative future. Apply now at coin.com. Let me spell that for you. It's an unusual spelling. COIGN.com. The G is silent. COIGN.com. I have one in my pocket. Get one in yours. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosure for full details.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
Hear from frightened residents where a Nashville security guard says he was shot point blank in the chest this morning. Coming up at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Coming up in just a few moments, we'll crunch the numbers. We'll look at where things are. I'm seeing a trend here that I like the trend. Also, we've talked a lot about, poor people who lost their homes. What about farmers in the disaster areas? We'll talk about their plight. And, of course, an exciting edition of the ever-popular Three Amigos. It's all straight ahead in the next hour right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, let the team at Restoration Wellness help you achieve your health goals. Restoration Wellness is a leader in weight loss management in Wilson County. Call the Restoration Wellness team today at this number. Ready? 615-470-8124. Or visit them at their website. Learn all about them at restorationwellnessmedspa.com to book a consultation. Now, you're going to meet my friends Carly and Jamie, who will take great care of you like you're part of the family. Be part of the 1,000 patients who've already seen life-changing results with the weight loss management program there, and I am one of them. Down 33 pounds. It helps you gain your confidence back. Weight loss can increase your energy levels, improve your quality of sleep, and enhance your overall health. Customized treatment plans are available. Restoration Wellness considers your unique needs, your lifestyle, and your goals. So if your goal is to lose stubborn body fat or just to improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness has a solution for you. Learn about the newest technology in weight loss management. Go to their website, restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and I understand we're in for some record-breaking temperatures this week. We'll tell you about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Tia Gray tells Channel 4 she has lived at the Ivana Collins Creek Apartments in Antioch since June and has had police dispatched there twice for shootings.
It's not cheap nowadays, so you want to feel comfortable where you're staying and like where you're staying, not come outside and see like trash and obviously police present and you don't know what's going on or why they're here.
Well, that was the case this morning around 12:45, where police were called when a security guard says he was shot in the chest when he went to investigate a suspicious person near a pavilion. The guard's bulletproof vest credited with saving his life, and there's no sign of the suspect. A Tennessee lawmaker is urging Nashville city leaders to improve greenway safety after a woman's seemingly random murder last week. Fox 17 says Democrat Nashville State Rep Jason Powell says he is a frequent user of the greenway where Alyssa Lokitz was killed, adding he has personally witnessed crimes committed at that greenway and others, which he says include car burglaries and even a woman being attacked by 2 unleashed dogs. Representative Powell penned a letter to Mayor O'Connell, Police Chief John Drake, and the Metro Parks Director Monique Horton-Odom, saying active patrolling by police bicycle teams on greenways, improved lighting, and emergency call stations would be great first steps. Election 2024, former President Trump campaigning in Asheville, North Carolina, where cleanup efforts continued 3 weeks after Hurricane Helene. Trump described FEMA's rescue effort as almost non-existent.
On January 20th, you're going to have, I think, a new crew coming in to do it properly, and help you in a proper manner.
Out during her daily briefing today, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre countered former President Trump.
Administrator Deanne Criswell is in North Carolina with Governor Roy Cooper and state officials to continue surveying damage and ensure that resources continue to make it to the communities and survivors who need them. In total, nearly $2 billion in federal assistance has been approved for those affected by recent storms. In North Carolina, the administration has approved more than $300 million in assistance.
Former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney's on the campaign trail with Democratic presidential nominee Vice President Kamala Harris in Michigan today.
Every one of us in this election has a duty and an obligation to do what we know is right for the country. And that's to support Vice President Harris.
Just 2 weeks to Election Day. And that's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, in addition to the usual slowdowns, we've got a crash in West Nashville, and this one's causing quite a backup. This is several vehicles that collided Briley Parkway northbound. All lanes are blocked, including the left shoulder. The right shoulder is open, and it looks like that's where they're trying to let people by, so that is incredibly backed up. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon. It's hour number 3 of the drive on this 21st day of October. Still a gorgeous day. I mean to tell you, you just can't ask for better than this. Abundant sunshine, 76 degrees on October 21st. And You know, Kid Weaver keeps telling us we got a heat wave coming of some kind. I mean,
that's going to be in the 80s.
Yeah.
Rest of this week, I think.
Is that Indigenous Peoples Summer?
I don't know what you want to call it, but
I
it's
don't know
warm.
what you call it. I don't want to get into trouble, but that's just to be careful. That's what I'm going to call it. Listen, we've really got a lot of stuff to cover. Let's get right into our 2024 update because we got all kinds of stuff to happen. What, that didn't launch? I don't know why. I hate it when it doesn't launch. We're having gremlins in the system today.
Weird things are happening, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't know what that is. Well, anyway, imagine the election 2024 music is playing right now, and
let's see, is it this one? There we go. How about that? I'll help you out.
Thank you so much. I normally take care of that myself, but I don't know why I can't. We got all kinds of stuff to talk to you about. Let me start with the numbers, and let me just start by saying, you know, I have some concerns because, you know, I don't want you to think that I'm building you up and building you up. I'm not trying to build you up, Buttercup. I'm just trying to give you the straight poop here. I see a trend here that I like, and the trend is toward Trump and away from Harris. It's undeniable. I know it. The Harris campaign knows it. Everybody knows it. But in the grand scheme of things, these aren't huge movements. They're not big movements. They're minuscule. It's still, according to the polls, pretty tight. But the movement is undeniable there. Right now, one of the polls that I like the best is an Atlas Intel poll. This is a poll that they have a history of getting it pretty close to right. And in their general election poll, they have Trump up by 3, which would be a tremendous change from where we were because it wasn't long ago where you had Harris up by 2 or 3. So that's a 5 or 6 point shift, and that's significant in the general election number. Real Clear Politics, you know, they average their polls. In the general election, you know, it takes a long time for those numbers to move because you're averaging, 10 polls. But they now have Harris up by 1, and that's not as good as she was doing a while back. In the Real Clear Politics battleground averages, they now have Trump up by 1, and he leads in all 7 battleground states in the averages. Now, not by a lot. Some of these are 0.1, 0.2, but he does lead in every single one of them. I think it's interesting, though, to go back and look at 2016 when Trump won, right? He won against Hillary Clinton in 2016. And look at the numbers on this date in history then in 2016 and compare them to where we are today. Now, if you do that, right now, let me just go through some of these battleground states that are so important. Compared to 2016, Trump is ahead of where he was then by almost 7 points, 6.7 points. Pennsylvania up by 7 over where he was in 2016 at this point in the campaign. Ohio up 7.4 from where he was this point in the campaign in 2016. Michigan 11.2. In Arizona, 3. In Nevada, 5.5. In North Carolina, 3.3. In Georgia, he's up 5.8 over where he was in 2016 at this point in the campaign. So, I mean, if he's that far ahead of where he was in 2016 when he beat Hillary Clinton in a pretty close election, then he's doing better. And it means that she's underperforming. All right, so there's that. Now, let me give you all of these Atlas Intel numbers, and then I'll move on to some other stuff, okay? In Pennsylvania, Atlas Intel has Trump up by 3. In Michigan, and there's another poll out there that has the same number, Trump by 3. Wisconsin, Harris by 1. Georgia, Trump by 2. North Carolina, and I don't know about this number, but I mean, I'll tell you more about that in a moment. They have Harris up by 2. And they have Arizona and Nevada in a dead even tie between the two. So let me tell you about this North Carolina number. I'm really a little bit concerned about North Carolina. Number one, I'm not sure you can trust any of the polling that's coming out of there right now, and I'll tell you why. They're able to go ahead and poll the blue areas, which are the metropolitan areas. Think of it sort of like Nashville, and the metropolitan areas are blue and everything outside is largely red in a big way. And so it evens out over time. A lot of areas that are red, but the population centers are blue. But they can get to the people in North Carolina who are in the population centers because their electricity is working and they have running water and they have somewhat recovered. But in the rural areas, which are usually where the red votes are, I don't think they can get to a lot of people. I don't think they can get to the same level of people that they could. So now, that's why I don't trust this poll number from North Carolina. But I would also say to you, I'm a little concerned about the election in East Tennessee, how those people are going to vote. How are the people in these disaster areas going to cast their ballots? And it's not that I don't think that they want to cast their ballot, and it's not that I think that there won't be an effort to make it easier for them to do that. But I mean, when you're in the middle of a disaster and you're fighting for your very livelihood, and you know, you got to figure out how you're going to put your life back together, and your biggest concern of the day is finding drinking water. I mean, it seems like to me that voting is probably not the most important thing on your mind. And in North Carolina, a battleground state where a lot of the rural areas are red and people are fighting for their very existence, same thing at East Tennessee, I don't know that, you know, that it's going to be a high priority for them to get to the ballot box. I hope that they can, but I mean, you should certainly understand it if they could not. If ever there was a situation where life has intervened, this is one of them. So they're doing everything they can. I know the state of Tennessee is doing everything it can to help those people out and make it easy for them to vote. And I know North Carolina is trying to do it as well. But quite frankly, I just have some real concerns about the voting in North Carolina. And Arizona and Nevada being in a tie is a bit of a surprise to me. So one way or the other, I want to leave you, as we leave these numbers, I want to leave you with one overarching thought. Yes, I like the trend. Yes, it's undeniable. The trend is moving toward Trump and away from Harris. Nobody denies that. The Democrats know it. The Republicans know it. It's absolutely the case that the polling shows a trend, but the trend is all within the margin of error. Everything is within the margin of error. And you know, look, in the past, pollsters have underestimated Trump. Are they still underestimating him is the question. I think that's probably happening. So it could be that he's doing much better than the polls suggest. And if that's the case, then it's going to be a very good night on November 5th. But again, just a word of caution. While I like the trend, it's all within the margin of error. Senate races, I'm pretty excited about the trend I'm seeing there with regard to where these Senate races are. Republicans are, I think, going to take back the Senate. It feels that way. We're going to get West Virginia. Nobody doubts that. There's little doubt that Republicans will likely pick up the state of Montana. John Tester is not going to do well in a very red state. And now listen to this. Pennsylvania Senate candidate Dave McCormick says former President Trump is gaining momentum and reacts to a Democrat senator running for a pro-Trump ad. A top political handicapper shifted his rating on Monday in the pivotal Pennsylvania Senate race, signaling dwindling chances for Democrat Senator Bob Casey. And Dave McCormick is looking like he might do well here, unveiling two ratings changes roughly 2 weeks from Election Day. The Cook Political Report indicated heightened competition in both Pennsylvania and Nebraska, where an independent candidate is threatening to unseat an incumbent Republican. That's interesting. In Pennsylvania, the race between incumbent Casey and Republican challenger Dave McCormick is now considered a toss-up. A toss-up, according to the handicapper. If you don't know anything about the Cook Political Report, it is widely respected, and he is absolutely bipartisan, and he has a really good reputation for calling House and Senate races. Cook cited McCormick shoring up the GOP base and making gains in the western part of the states as part of its justification for turning it into a toss-up race instead of leans Democrat. That's exciting. That's exciting. Casey defeated McCormick among likely voters 48-44 in a New York Times Philadelphia Inquirer Siena College poll. So, but things are happening. Things are happening. I've been telling you, I've been watching Ted Cruz, and I was very concerned about Ted Cruz. But apparently in the state of Texas, they had a hell of a debate. And Ted Cruz just mopped up the place with Colin Allred. I have a hard time believing that Texas is going to be, turn blue or even purple. Because everybody says it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And yes, there are areas in Texas, Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. Those cities are, they do trend blue, but the rest of the state is so very vibrantly red that, they keep saying, yeah, we're going to get them. We're going to get them. The Democrats say, this is the year we're going to turn Texas blue. And they never do. But after that debate, I've seen the numbers sort of stabilize for Ted Cruz. He's running like a scalded dog, man. I'm telling you, he is running hard in the state of Texas. And I've never seen Ted Cruz really break a sweat. And he certainly didn't have any trouble cleaning up the debate stage when that debate took place. He just annihilated the guy. But we'll see what happens. I'm headed to Texas on Friday. Now, I'll just tell you in advance, I hate to leave you this close to the election, but I hope you don't mind. It is my 50th high school reunion, and there's only one of those.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and I feel like I need to go to this one. So I'm going to break away on Friday and go. But when I get there, I'm going to get a good sense of what's happening in Texas. And I'll have something to report when I come back. Just one day. Then I'm back. Madison Square Garden. Trump's going to do a rally there. Get this. It's sold out in Madison Square Garden. Huge facility. Sold out in 3 hours. He told Breitbart News that his rally next week sold out in mere hours. We sold in 3 hours, and people are going to come away. Are going to come anyway. We have big screens outside. Can you imagine? Big screens outside there in Manhattan, Midtown Manhattan. It's going to be unbelievable. So come anyway. I mean, maybe you get in. I don't know, but it's sold out very quickly. It's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be fantastic. And I'm telling you, that is a big, big venue. I mean, this is a place where it takes a pretty big act to fill Madison Square Garden. You ever been to a garden party? I went to a garden party.
You and Ricky?
Me and Ricky Nelson.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And what was it? Oko, no. I forget. Oko had her walrus. There was music in the air. I don't remember. I can't remember all the links. Why did I even start down that path? I'm really regretting it now. In just a moment, let's talk about the Eastern Tennessee farmers and their plight after the big disaster out there, the big flooding. More on that in just a moment. 21 past the hour. We probably wish it were true, but there are no pills. There's no magic cream that you can apply, and then that will take the pressure off the nerves in your back. If you have back pain or neck pain, it's pressure on your nerves, and you have a couple of choices in that regard. One is surgery. The other is non-invasive spinal decompression. Now, I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They have a state-of-the-art facility, and they got this amazing high-tech equipment that offers the latest non-surgical procedures. Now, because getting better is so important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they are offering half off spinal decompression treatments and half off the KT machine, which is sort of like spinal decompression for your knee. Now, if you're a new patient, you walk in there, you're going to get an exam, a consultation, x-rays if you need them. They'll lay out your plan of treatment, and you'll get your first treatment, and all of that is only $23. And then remember, after that, the whole non-surgical procedures, half off. I'm Brian Wilson, and I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Call them today, 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in, and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.
We're learning more about the investigation at the Ivana Collins Creek apartment complex in Antioch, where a security guard said he was shot overnight. And Tua says, put me in, coach. Details at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Just a refresher here, bro.
Yeah. I always like this song.
Soothing, yeah.
Yeah. It's a simple little tune. All right now.
Rick, don't call me Ricky Nelson.
That's right. Yeah, he didn't like Ricky anymore.
Ah.
See, oh, here's the one about Yoko, right? Bum 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 bum. Well, there you go, a little Rick Nelson. That's a good song. That goes way back from the magic year 1972. Where were you in 1972? All right.
Moving on.
We're moving on now. There we go. Thank you. We were talking about the farming situation out in East Tennessee, and there's a letter that came across my desk here today from our congressional delegation, and everybody has signed it. It's addressed to Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, and Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, and Hakeem Jeffries, talking about how bad it is for the farmers. And we know that a lot of people lost everything, but, I mean, farmers got hit hard as well. In Tennessee, the letter says, some areas received between 10 and 15 inches of rainfall, in addition to runoff from surrounding states. This drowned crops, littered field with debris, ruined ready-to-harvest crops and forage, and flooded pastures, equipment loss, distressed livestock have left farmers questioning how their operations will move forward and how they will provide for their families. Producers, already engulfed by the ongoing farm financial crisis, will require meaningful disaster assistance to stand up their operations and continue farming. Now more than ever, the agriculture industry is relying on Congress to step up to the plate and overwhelmingly support the industry that fuels, feeds, and clothes our nation. So that what they're doing is they're sending up the alarm bell to Congress saying, okay, FEMA's good, appreciate that, but, you know, the farmers are in a whole different category, and they've lost everything. And, you know, it's not easy being a farmer in the first place. You don't set the world on fire. You know, most farmers may have a lot of land, but they don't have a lot of money. And when they take a big hit for something like this, it really can hurt them a lot. So, I mean, I'm glad to see that someone is thinking about the farmers. The whole thing out there, I tell you what, you hear so many stories. You don't know what to believe is true and what is not. And quite frankly, I'm really struggling to figure it out about, you know, some of these things you hear just seem too fantastical to be true. And they're just, you know, but apparently, in talking, for example, I talked today to Dr. Kevin Mitchell, who was out there over the weekend, sent me tons of pictures of how things are going out there. And it's devastating. And, you know, I mean, this is just Eastern Tennessee. I saw the governor this weekend. He talked about it. He said on stage, he said that, you know, that he thinks everybody's getting the help that they need. But that's not what you hear. You hear other kinds of stories about, you know, bureaucratic bungling and things not going the way they should, and people still struggling to get the very basic necessities. I heard a story today about a National Guard unit that was sent into Tennessee, and they didn't send any food to support the National Guard. They didn't even bring any food to support themselves. So here, you know, you get the National Guard, which is great to have the National Guard support, but if they can't feed themselves and the people who are in trouble have to stop and feed the National Guard, then, you know, there's something wrong with that. I mean, just you hear that kind of bureaucratic bungling, you say, how in this world can it not be better? But again, you don't know, you know, so much of this stuff. In an area where there is no good communication, rumors float like crazy, just like nut. You can't, and so you don't know what's true and what's not. Hey, what have you heard? I don't know. I heard this. What did you hear? You know, but there's nobody that you can check with because you don't have an internet and you don't have phones and you don't have cell phones, and just, you know, these incredible rumors float. I think it's bad. I'll tell you that for sure. And I think it's going to take a long time to rebuild that area. 31 past the hour, time for the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Sounds like we might be in for some record-breaking temperatures this week. Tell you about it during the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. We're also learning more about the investigation at the Ivana Collins Creek apartment complex in Antioch. Police showed up and put up crime scene tape around 12:45 this morning after a security guard said he had been shot in the chest. He says it happened when he went to investigate a suspicious person near a pavilion there in the complex. He says his bulletproof vest saved his life, but police are now saying the security guard has changed his story several times. There's still no one in custody. And Channel 4 is talking to residents there who say there's too much crime going on. Just last month, a teenager was shot at that same location. Here's Tia Gray, who says she's lived there since June.
So I kind of feel like it's getting worse, obviously, because it went from like a kid in the leg to our own security guards. It's too much going on in the property. It's always something.
Tonight in Nashville, NDOT officials give an update to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. Channel 4 says they'll talk about Nolensville Pike crash data and the latest on the project for Main Street in East Nashville. Both streets part of NDOT's Vision Zero plan to eliminate deadly pedestrian and vehicle crashes in Nashville. An NFL quarterback plagued by high-profile head injuries on the field says he plans to return to the game, possibly on Sunday, despite the risks. Here's Dave Packer.
Miami Dolphins head coach Mike Daniels announcing Tua Tagovailoa will return to practice this week. The quarterback had been following NFL concussion protocol after the latest in a string of head injuries, this one during the Dolphins' Week 2 loss to the Buffalo Bills. Tua accepting the risk.
Every time we all suit up, we're all taking a risk that we could potentially get hurt, whether it's a concussion, a broken bone, anything.
Weighing his health versus his passion for playing.
I love this game, and I love it to the death of me.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, we're still dealing with that crash on Briley Parkway northbound in West Nashville. This is right after the I-40 West exit to go northbound there on Briley Parkway. And now in Rutherford County, we've got a crash reported with the right lane blocked. This is going to be 840 westbound after the Sulphur Springs Road exit. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, it's here. Genesis Diamond's largest ever sale on luxury pre-owned Rolex watches. You've been hearing about this. It's huge. If you've dreamed of wearing a Rolex, you can't miss this special two-day event this Friday and Saturday. During the event, you can take advantage of special pricing and zero-interest financing on a stunning selection of luxurious pre-owned Rolex timepieces. Genesis has brought in hundreds and hundreds, the hottest models, Rolex watches you can't find anywhere else. Every one of Genesis luxury pre-owned Rolexes in pristine, like new condition, some just out of the box, and it's all priced to sell at this event. And listen to this. With the purchase of any luxury pre-owned Rolex at this event, Genesis will give you a pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings free. That's a $3,000 value. And if you own a Rolex now, Genesis buyers will be on site offering top dollar for your watch so you can buy, sell, or trade. Come see the largest selection of luxury pre-owned Rolex watches in the state and take advantage of special financing and get a pair of 2-carat lab-grown diamond stud earrings free. Saturday and Sunday only, and only at Genesis Diamonds, Green Hills, and Cool Springs.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, I'm Joan Jones on Super Talk 99.7. And you know, the dual power of radio and digital has always been such a plus for our advertisers. So if you're thinking about your 2025 plans, make sure you check us out at 997wtn.com/epic. Go there now.
There it is. That festive music means it's time for what is my favorite part of the program. It's where the three amigos get together, and you never know what's going to happen. Amigo number one in the newsroom is Ken Weaver. Hello, Ken.
Good afternoon, boys.
And there's Chris Weber in the control room pushing all the blinky buttons. He's amigo number two.
I'm going to get my fingers going, too, when I talk.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. And I am Brian Wilson, amigo number three, and I don't do any impressions because you always mock me when I do.
Oh, come on. Give us a Kermit. Come on.
Kermit the Frog.
That's good.
See?
It's not.
I think it is.
It's okay.
All right. Enough. And so you never know where the thing is going to go.
See?
I mean, each of us brings a story, but I mean, sometimes we get diverted.
It happens.
All three of us have a little ADD, and so you never know what's going to happen. That's right. I'm going to start, if you don't mind, today. First of all, I got two stories real quick. I saw this story from WKRN's website. I don't know where it ultimately came from, but they list the top Halloween candies in America. And according to them, all told, we do polls all the time, so we'll do this poll. M&Ms are the number one candy in America. And I go, you know what I think about that? That's not true.
Maybe by number consumed, I could see that. Because
M&Ms
because
they're
are
individual
everywhere.
and small, maybe so.
Yeah.
Reese's Cups, Sour Patch Kids, nope. Skittles, nope. Starburst, no. Hot Tamales, it has its charm. Candy Corn, never. Hershey's Kisses, number 8. Hershey's Mini Bars, which is the same thing, basically, number 9. Look, when's the last time anybody ate a Butterfinger?
Oh, wait a minute now. I love a Butterfinger.
Yeah,
Now, they're not bad.
Then they break them down by states, and they say, I'm just going to pull you up to Tennessee. The number one favorite candy in Tennessee for Halloween, they claim, is Snickers.
Okay, I could get behind that. Wouldn't be my number one choice, but it's right up there.
Yeah, Tootsie Pops number 2, Skittles number 3.
Tootsie Pops, interesting.
Yeah, Tootsie
Again,
Pops.
I think it's more just of how many of them you get normally.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, some of this
Very
stuff
common.
is very, very odd. Like Missouri, the number one favorite Halloween candy in Missouri, according to this list, is Almond Joy. And I just don't believe that.
I don't either.
I love Almond Joy, quite frankly, but I'm a big coconut fan, so I do like them. But I would never put it at the top. I mean,
Interesting.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting that it's the number one candy in Missouri.
Yeah.
All right, that's pretty random.
They love their almonds and coconut in Missouri.
Yeah, let me just see.
Show me that almond and coconut.
I know something about Texas. And again, where did they get this? The number one candy in Texas, Sour Patch Kids.
I will say, though, in that list of the top 10 in the country had a lot of non-chocolate candies on it. And that seems to be the trend because, like, my son doesn't eat. If you give him a bowl of candy, assorted candies, he's going to eat everything that's not chocolate in it.
Interesting.
He'll eat all the Sour Patch, all the gummies. Well, Tootsie Rolls, I don't know that's not really chocolate or non-chocolate.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm not surprised by that because it's very popular.
Here's what I think about this list. I don't believe it. Well, anyway, now this other story real quick because this is a great story. Lottery player in Illinois wins $9.2 million. But it's not the game that he wanted to play. The accidental winner, who has wished to stay anonymous, according to Fox Business, was attempting to play a different game when a problem arose with the machine that was distributing the tickets. It was a normal day, just like any other. I was picking up groceries, and on my way out the door, I decided to buy a lottery ticket. I guess this is one of these machines where you buy them out of the machine, right? And I wanted to buy a ticket for a different game, and the machine got stuck on Lotto. I was a bit frustrated, and I said, what's going on? The machine won't give me the right game. So I decided, well, I may as well buy the Lotto ticket.
What the hey?
It proved to be a life-changing decision. He won $9.2 million by playing a game he never intended to play.
Awesome.
The winning numbers were 2, 15, 21, 29, 42, and 44.
Good grief. I've got to start playing that.
No.
See, all I'll ever do is break even.
Yeah, I wouldn't even do that. I'd lose money. Yeah. I'd do the scratch offs, and I'd end up having I would be a winner, and it would say you owe $2 or something like that. That's my kind of look.
You know what? I did not know this. So the paid out $9.2 million. The grocery store gets 1% kickback.
Yeah,
$92,000.
Yeah,
not shabby.
Nice.
Yep.
Grocery stores tend to be very common places for the big winners, I've noticed.
Well, you can't play if you don't win, so I guess I won't ever win.
You mean you can't win if you don't play?
What did I say? That's to get it backwards, Jim. No, you can't. You can't win if you don't play.
You can play all you want, but that doesn't mean you're going to win.
That's right.
That's my luck for sure. All right, that's all I got, guys.
Brother Chris.
All right, I got one for you guys. This one is from the Indiana State Police. They say on the night of August 23rd, so a couple months ago, a trooper was patrolling in Vincennes, Indiana. That's in the southwestern part of the state.
I went there for the eclipse. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And the trooper there spotted a Jeep driven by a 51-year-old gentleman named John McKee. And according to the press release, the most concerning part of the scenario was that the Jeep had no lights, reflectors, and was difficult to see. It was nighttime when this happened. The trooper then subjected the man to some field sobriety tests, which he failed. And investigating his condition further, the trooper took the gentleman to the hospital where it was determined he was under the influence of both meth and marijuana. Okay. Now you say, okay, big deal. This guy's arrested for a DWI and that sort of thing. The odd part of this story is the Jeep he was driving was a Power Wheels Jeep.
Power Wheels.
Power Wheels.
The little plastic battery-powered kids toy. Yeah. It was a Power Wheels Jeep. And so then it becomes clear, well, it's no wonder why he was driving it. He was under the influence of meth and marijuana. And apparently thought it was a good idea to take the Jeep down to the store. The big question is who the owner of the Power Wheels Jeep was, because it wasn't clear whether it belonged to him or a child or grandchild. He was 51, so maybe he had grandchildren that it belonged to. Or maybe he just stole it from someone.
He stole it from somebody's front yard, yeah.
I guess the world may never know.
I don't guess it's illegal to drive a Power Wheels on the highway, is it? I mean,
well, yeah, you can't be on a motorway in a toy vehicle. That is not allowed.
He was somebody's methed up uncle.
Yeah.
After a day with the family.
He's methed up.
I mean, but quite frankly, very dangerous what the guy was doing. He's driving this vehicle at night that has no lights at all. I mean, it's a child's toy.
Sure.
At 1.3 miles an hour.
Exactly, and he's like 2 feet off the ground. He could have easily been killed by another driver or caused an accident that killed someone.
Right.
So luckily got him off the road. He's charged with intoxication with prior conviction. Imagine that.
Well, and he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't know if they could throw that in on him.
All right.
That's my story.
You're up, Ken.
All right, I got one, boys. This is from NBC News. It's out of New Zealand. It says, cuddle time capped. New Zealand airport puts a 3-minute limit on goodbye hugs.
What?
They even have a sign that says, it's hard to say goodbye, so make it quick. 3 minutes max.
Wow, you're kidding me.
No. Another sign says those seeking fonder farewells should use the car park, where a generous 15-minute window is allowed. This is the Dunedin Airport there in New Zealand. The CEO says they want this to be a lighthearted thing. So that's why they put the signs up. They say we're trying to have fun with it. It is an airport, and these drop-off locations are common locations for farewells. He said it's not fair to everyone for you to be standing there hugging your loved one. Now, NBC News even reached out to a professor of psychological science in the UK.
Well, of course they did, because that's all they got time to do.
Yeah. He says that hugs can improve mood, well-being, and even physical health. And he adds that the 3-minute period suggested by the airport should provide enough of a window to facilitate the release of hormones that contribute to these health and well-being benefits.
There you go.
Good grief.
Do they have
3
this?
minutes.
I've never seen it up here, but out in Washington, D.C., they have a thing called the Kiss and Ride.
Oh, really?
I mean, it's actually like an area where if you're dropping your spouse off to get on the subway, you just stop in briefly at the Kiss and Ride. and you give him a little kiss, and then boom, he's out the door and running to catch his.
I've never heard of anything like
subway.
that.
Yeah, but have you ever heard that term? I've never seen it anywhere else.
I've never either.
The kiss and ride.
But going back to the 3-minute limit, I like a good hug. I'm a fan of a good hug. 3 minutes is way too long to hug someone.
You've never hugged me, Chris.
Well, I didn't say I wanted to hug everybody. I'm very selective with who I give my hugs out to.
Well, I guess it kind of depends. Now, like if you're a member of the military and
That's true.
You've got
certainly
an
they would give
assignment.
it longer than 3 minutes.
You would think so. But one more thing that this psychological fella, that professor there in the UK, is talking about, he says that defending the introduction of the signs in his interview, this is not scientific. This is from the airport CEO. He says, there's a study that suggests a 20-second hug is long enough to release oxytocin, otherwise known as the love hormone.
The love hormone.
So we're giving you way more time.
Yeah, so all you need is 20 seconds.
If you're hugging for 3 minutes, you need to get a room is what you need to get.
That's what I was going to suggest. A sign that says, get a room.
Get a room. If it's going to be more than 3 minutes, get a room.
And please keep your clothes on.
That's
yes,
right.
sir.
All right, we'll leave it there. 50 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. There's no pills. There's no spinal creams. There's nothing that you can apply that will magically open up your spinal disc and take pressure off your nerves. If you have back pain, most likely it's pressure on your nerves, and you have a couple of choices there. One is to undergo surgery. The other, I think, is the way to go, non-invasive spinal decompression. At least try it first. I mean, really, I chose non-surgical spinal decompression at the Wellness Institute of Nashville, and it has worked for me. I have pains in my lower back and my neck, and I'm telling you, every time I start to get a little creaky, I go in there and get a treatment, and it really, really helps me. Their state-of-the-art facilities offer the latest non-surgical procedures with the latest and high-tech equipment. And because getting better is so important to Dr. Kevin Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they're offering half off spinal decompression treatment and half off the KT knee machine. Now, if you're a new patient, you go there, you get an exam, an x-ray if you need one, a consultation. They'll come up with a plan of treatment, and you'll get your first treatment, and all of that is only $23. And then after that, the spinal decompression is half off. Remember, I'm Brian Wilson. I put my stamp of approval on the Wellness Institute of Nashville. So call them today at 615-246-5009. Learn more at painisbad.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
6 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories this Monday evening. Understand we've got some record-breaking temperatures coming. Full forecast in 5 minutes. Also a traffic update. Right now in Nashville, we're learning more about the investigation at the Ivana Collins Creek apartment complex in Antioch. Police showed up and put up crime scene tape around 12:45 this morning after a security guard claimed he had been shot in the chest. He says it happened when he went to investigate a suspicious person near a pavilion, says it was point-blank range, and his bulletproof vest saved his life. But police are saying the security guard has changed his story several times, and there's still no one in custody. Meanwhile, Tia Gray tells Channel 4 she's lived at that same apartment complex since June and has seen police dispatched at least twice for shootings.
It's not cheap nowadays, so you want to feel comfortable where you're staying and like where you're staying, not come outside and see like trash and obviously police present, and you don't know what's going on or why they're here.
Well, city leaders are working to launch what will be called the Office of Youth Safety in Nashville to combat gun violence. Fox 17 says Metro Council approved $1 million for the effort in June, partnering with advocates from the organization's Southern Movement Committee, who work directly with youth in Middle Tennessee. They're going to be in neighborhoods, schools, and communities to try to stop escalating tension before it ends in gunfire. City leaders say the goal is for the Office of Youth Safety to be active sometime at the beginning of the new year, with the director chosen by the end of this year. And Franklin police are investigating after several homes were vandalized over the weekend. It happened in the West Haven community, where one woman tells Channel 4 they go all out to decorate for Halloween. Chelsea Understander says they built a giant Gengar, which is a Pokemon character, sat there for 3 weeks until Sunday morning when someone flattened the $500 creation.
You spend so much time building like an art sculpture like that, and then someone just like tackles it and runs it down. So yeah, it's just a shame.
She says some of her neighbors had windows broke and garage doors kicked in. One neighbor even had a pumpkin thrown through one of their windows. What appears to be an attempted insurance scam caught on camera. A car backing into another car on a busy highway in New York City. The victim's dash cam spoiling the scheme. Here's Gio Benitez with details.
The backseat passengers trying to put a covering on the back window as the driver climbs over into the front passenger seat before getting out of the car, pretending to be injured. They pull out their phones to record the damage.
Oh my God. They were rushing to leave. They were like, well, we have to go pick up our baby. And so basically when I turned around to go check on the car, they just like got in their car and left.
After watching the footage, they believe they were being scammed.
Down police say they've seen scams similar to this. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, in addition to the usual slowdowns, it looks like we've got a brand new crash to report. This is going to be on the North Loop. It is affecting 65 northbound. It's several vehicles. The northbound shoulder is blocked, so you're still able to get by, but it's right there at 24 where it's already slow with merging traffic. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hey, good evening, everyone. 7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I am Brian Wilson. I am your friend and radio buddy, and this is The Drive for the 21st day of October, and still a very pleasant 74 degrees outside as we're apparently heading for a very warmish week for late October. So enjoy. It'll come plenty of time when you wish that it had been this warm. I have a couple of stories that I want to spend some time going over. One is deeply concerning, and it has to do with a leak, a hell of a leak. Now, reporters like leaks generally, but I mean, I've never, ever wanted to accept a leak that was a national security problem. A national security leak. Quite frankly, I just wasn't real interested in being in that particular business when I was a reporter. And there's been a big one. The United States is doing everything it can to help Israel with intelligence during this fight that they've been having with Iran proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthi rebels. And again, we understand that the real problem there, the root cause of this problem is Iran, which is funding all of those activities and that not long ago fired a barrage of missiles into Israel, most of them intercepted, not a lot of damage. But, there's been some talk about how is Israel going to respond. And apparently a lot of very, very sensitive information about Israel's plan to attack Iran got leaked out. President Joe Biden says he's deeply concerned about the unauthorized release of classified documents on Israel's preparation for a potential retaliatory attack on Iran. A White House spokesman said on Monday, this from the Associated Press, the Biden administration is still not certain if the classified information was leaked or hacked. If it's hacked, quite frankly, that's almost more concerning, isn't it? White House National Security spokesman John Kirby said officials don't have any indication at this point of additional documents like this finding their way into the public domain. Kirby added that the Pentagon is investigating. U.S. officials on Saturday had confirmed an investigation by the administration. The documents are attributed to the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency and the National Security Agency. And note that Israel was still moving military assets in place to conduct a military strike in response to Iran's blistering ballistic missile attack of October 1. They were shareable within the Five Eyes on an intelligence alliance comprised of the U.S., Great Britain, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. So, we were sharing with some of our closest allies in the world, and apparently somehow it leaked out. Marked top secret. The document first appeared online Friday on the Telegram messaging app and quickly spread among Telegram channels popular with Iranians. Analysts at the Site Intelligence Group, a consultancy that monitors and analyzes on-the-right threats from extremist groups, tracked the release of the documents to a Telegram channel popular with Iran-backed militias. The channel contained posts from an anonymous user with a long history of posting other supposedly top-secret content who said they had access to the leaked documents. The user also wrote they had sold some of the material and provided it to the Iranian military. Wow. The Telegram channel identifies itself as being based in Tehran. So was it a hack or was it actually somebody leaking the information? Either way, not good. I mean, when you're planning a military attack and it gets out like that, and all of a sudden now your enemy knows what to expect and how to prepare for it, not good. Not good. Investigation will look into the release of the documents, may take some time, as authorities look for digital or physical clues that could reveal how the information got out and what implications it may have for information management and intelligence sharing with U.S. allies. Well, I mean, maybe that kind of information ought not be shared among even our closest allies. Karine Jean-Pierre declined to comment on what changes the government's made to better safeguard top-secret information. So there you have that. Really very concerning. I mean, honestly, military operation planning, among the most sensitive stuff, I would imagine, out there. Speaking of other things that are sensitive, CBS News has come under, I think, justifiably a great deal of criticism for the re-editing of the Kamala Harris interview. They stand accused, according to the Federalist and others, accused of deliberately distorting the news coverage for nakedly political purposes to prop up Kamala Harris's flailing presidential campaign by attempting to hide her inability to answer even a simple question about her policy positions and how she would act if elected. How badly skewed was CBS's coverage of its interview with Harris, broadcast on the world on Face the Nation and 60 Minutes? Well, last week, a nonprofit group, Center for American Rights, filed a complaint with the Federal Communications Commission alleging deliberate news distortion, a violation of FCC regulations, and a half-century of precedent. There's a little problem here. I mean, CBS News, I mean, I just want to point this out. The affiliates of CBS News and stations owned by CBS News come under the auspices of the Federal Communication Commission. CBS News itself does not. Now, I think they have an obligation to do this right, but one way or the other, I'm not sure that they need to fear the FCC. Their own stations do, and affiliates could it could blow back on CBS News through the affiliates. But nonetheless, the question really remains, the bottom of this thing is, was it a fair edit or an unfair edit? So how do we know that something was up? Well, 60 Minutes ran one version of the interview, one answer, which they made her look really good. And Face the Nation ran a different cut, a longer section of the same interview in which she seemed to ramble and ramble and ramble and ramble. And so the question is, did 60 Minutes clean up the interview to make her look good on 60 Minutes? And Face the Nation ran something that was a more accurate portrayal of exactly what she said. One way or the other, let me just share with you. Interviews. I don't like interviews where they're big, huge implications, like, a presidential interview, the nominees running for president, big interview, where they don't release the transcript. The way you solve this problem is to always release the transcript. That then shows people, if they care to go back and look, exactly where the edits were made. But a transcript, was not released here. And so what they got caught was, it looks like 60 Minutes cleaned up a soundbite to make her look smarter than they did on Face the Nation. And I'll tell you the thing about editing. It's okay to edit for time. I I've done I can't tell you the number of hours I've spent in a television edit room. I mean, a good portion of my life was spent in editing rooms. And I know a lot about the process, and I know how it goes. And so the rule of thumb was always that if you want to shorten something for time, that's okay, as long as, and this is the most important part of this, as long as you don't change the meaning of what that person is saying. In other words, editing something to make somebody look brighter or to make somebody look stupid, either way, is just a mortal sin. If you're going to edit for time, you got to make sure you're not changing the meaning of what that person said. And in this particular interview, I think they did. But again, the way you counter that is that you put out a transcript so people can, double check to see if you're being honest about it. 60 Minutes apparently was not very honest about it. And the Trump campaign is raising hell about it. They're asking the FCC to compel the release of the transcript, but I'm not sure that the FCC can command CBS News to do that. Everybody thinks they can. The FCC has power over, the airwaves, but not over the network that provides the programming to affiliates. FCC, for example, has no impact on a cable channel. Did you know that? That's why we have these rules about the things you can see on a broadcast station and the things that you can see on cable. I mean, on cable, Netflix, anything goes. Language doesn't matter. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff that would never make it on television that is played because it's all about that the public owns the airwaves, but the FCC does not have any impact over cable channels, for example. So it's interesting. The public airwaves, yes, they can regulate the public airwaves. Can they publicly regulate the programmers who provide content to the stations? No, I don't think so. But one way or the other, it was a bad edit, and they ought to own it, and they ought to take account for it. Editing is again, it's always a controversial thing. Usually, it doesn't become a big deal. But when you're talking about the stakes that are at play here and questions about Kamala Harris's intellect and her ability to answer a question in a straightforward way, clearly, CBS made her look smarter than she did in the longer soundbite where she seemed to ramble and talk in circles. By the way, there's another one out there of her talking in circles, what they call the word salad.
Representing the United States of America, the President of the United States must set a standard, not only for our nation, but understanding the standard that we as a nation must set for the world. We, as representing the United States of America, walk into rooms around the world with the earned and self-appointed authority to talk about the importance of democracy, rule of law, and have been thought of as a role model, imperfect though we may be, but a role model of what it means to be committed to certain standards, including international rules and norms, but also standards of decorum.
I don't know what she said there. That was about 40 seconds of her just spitting out words that sound nice, but I don't know what she's meaning. I don't know what she says.
But and this is decorum, Brian.
Yes, well, apparently apparently decorum and another couple of $5 words in there repeated 3 times still doesn't make any sense. So bad on CBS News. I wish I could say that all this talk about the FCC cracking down on CBS News would have an impact, but it really won't. The end result is, though, we now know exactly what CBS News did, and it really is an egregious act of bad editing in order to help a political candidate. 20 minutes now past the hour. Hey, if you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, if you want to have those flavors right at home, or maybe, during the football season when you're out tailgating, you want some of those flavors in your tailgating meats? Well, take a walk down your local grocery aisles, places like Walmart and Kroger, and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. See, Johnny Fleeman's marinade proprietary blend of flavors will give your steaks, chicken, or chops a flavor that will hit a home run with family and friends. It's low in sodium, about a third of other brands. You don't have to worry about over-marinating. And let me talk for a moment about their honey mustard salad dressing, the South's favorite. Use it as a salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh-cut veggies, or chips. A recipe used in his restaurant for over 35 years. So if your favorite grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask them to do so. For more information, go to johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, those folks over at Legend Steakhouse will always be glad to see you for lunch or for dinner.
Hey everybody, Dan Mandis with Super Talk 99.7 WTN and Nashville's Morning News. Right now, we are bringing results for our clients using both our radio and digital assets. 2025 is going to be a huge year, not only here in Tennessee, but of course, across America. If you want to jump on board, again, we're offering great incentives. Find us online, 997WTN.com, and let's talk.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
So I was just listening to that promo, and I hadn't noticed before about this election party we're having. They say deep into the evening.
Yeah. They're like, we don't know when it's going to be over.
I'm going to play a little soundbite for you here. This is the Secretary of State of the state of Michigan. And, look, we got 7 battleground states, and these polls are, they're a point or two apart. And so it's really hard to know exactly how long it's going to take to count all this stuff. And it's going to be close. But this is the Secretary of State of Michigan who says that, we'll get it eventually.
Well, in 2020, we had the results of our highest turnout election in Michigan history within 24 hours of the polls closing. The unofficial results were completed by 8 p.m. on Wednesday. So we're tracking that again this year. We do have more options to process ballots sooner than Election Day, which is where we were restricted in 2020. So I'm optimistic we could see results even sooner, but I would estimate end of the day on Wednesday as the best guess on how we'll perform. But that said, we will always prioritize accuracy and security over efficiency, understanding how much people will want those results. We're still going to make sure the process is secure and accurate before we put anything out to the public. But that said, we understand people's energy and excitement, and we'll be working hard to ensure those results are ready as soon as possible.
Yeah, as soon as possible, but probably they're talking about close of business Wednesday, a full day after the polls have closed. I don't understand how it is in America today that, I watch this show, The Voice, and at some point it's the American people who vote for, who's going to go forward in the process. And I guess they can handle with their apps and stuff, millions of votes and tabulate them during a commercial break. Why is it it takes us so long to do this process? Each state has its own individual process. There is no one way to do it, and every state does it a little different because that's under the Constitution of the United States. The states are responsible for running these elections in that state, not a federal. When we say a federal election, federal candidates, but it's not run by the feds. Oh, it's certainly going to be monitored by the feds for sure. But why is it that it takes so long? I don't know. By the way, there have been, and this is no joke, there have been a few isolated cases where people have cast their votes on electronic voting machines, and when they pull out the little piece of paper and they check it against, it's not right. And the question is, why is that? I know when I voted, they said, make sure you check, when you pull your ballot out, make sure you check that it wrote down the things that you wanted. And it did. There was no problem. But there have been some few isolated cases where that has not been the case, apparently. And they're trying to figure that out. You would do well to check it. Check, you pull out that little paper ballot, take a look at it to make sure it matches the choices that you made. That's all I'm saying. But again, I don't know when I don't know. So we're going to be there election night down at the Wilson County Fairgrounds. I'll start at 3:00. I will bring not one, but 2 5-hour energy drinks with me. So I'm good. But it says deep into the evening. Do you think? Look, if we get into the East Coast results start to come in first, if Georgia and North Carolina go for Trump early in the evening, it's going to be a good night. That'll be a really good sign, but who knows how long it's going to take. I actually think we might not know for 3 or 4 or more days. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm really, really wrong and that this thing is such a blowout that it doesn't take that long. But I know this. Both sides are sending thousands and thousands of lawyers. And you know what happens when lawyers get involved? Things that should be simple are not simple anymore. So, I just have a feeling we're going to be waiting 2 or 3 days to get this thing resolved. I hope I'm wrong. I really, this is the one time, I want to be wrong. I want to be very, very wrong about this. I want it to be the smoothest election of all of elections in the history of elections. I want it to be smooth, but I don't know. I just got this feeling when they say deep into the night, it really will be deep into the night and maybe deep into 2 or 3 nights. 30 minutes now past the hour. Time for the news. We talk about United Structural Systems. You know, I talk about them a lot, and, you know, they've been around since 1994. They have, about 30 years in this local area, more than 25,000 satisfied residential customers. And I can now say officially that I am one of them. Now, look, I had the classic thing that they talk about all the time, the stair-step cracks and bricks. And I was really worried about my home. It's, one of the most important investments that you can make. And so I called them out. They came out and looked at it. And you know what? When they got through working on that problem, you can't even tell that there was ever the stair-step cracks. It looks just like it was brand new. And then, my crawl space, I've got to worrying about that, and there's some indication that maybe some areas were getting a little wet. So they put in some pumping and put new liners down. I'm telling you, I've always been a little afraid to get underneath my house, but not anymore. I'll crawl underneath there. It looks great. They did a great job. Guy named Manny came out and just worked and worked and worked, got it done. Good people, they tell you exactly what they're going to do, and then they do it. I mean, what else do you want? So if you're having problems with the foundation of your home, if you think maybe you've got water in your crawl space or you got a wet basement, that's not good on a house. What if you've got concrete that's sinking or sloping? They can fix it nice, plumb, and level again for you. All these things they do just starts with a phone call, 615-488-7855. Learn more by going to their website, ussTN.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Hey, it's 38 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Last little segment here before we call it a day and hand it over to Mark Levin, the great one. When you look at how a campaign is going, if you want to know how it seems to be going, take a look at the candidates. Do they look relaxed? Are they out there, energized and excited to be there? Or do they have the look of panic on their face? Do they seem to be tense? Well, all I can tell you is Donald Trump is anything but tense. Here he is this weekend. I mean, this was so much fun watching him put on the apron and making some fries down at Donald Trump put the Donald back in McDonald's is what he did. And making them French fries and handing out stuff at the window. People were excited to see him.
I could do this all day. I wouldn't mind this job. I like this job. I think I might come back and do it again. Thank you. Look at that. Look at that. How are you?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Nice to see you.
You made it possible for ordinary people like us to meet you.
You're not ordinary.
I mean, thank you so much.
You are not ordinary. I can see.
We pray for you, and you are the type of person we want to be the president.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
So nice. Thank you very much. Yeah, I took a bullet. That's right.
Thank you, Mr. President.
When you think about it, I guess that's right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and he handed out hamburgers and, I wonder if he put out any filet of fish. Ugh. We don't know. No. I love me a good filet of fish sandwich at McDonald's.
Hard pass on that one for me.
Well, okay. That's fine. It takes all kinds. Of course, part of this is because he doesn't believe Kamala Harris's claim that she ever worked at McDonald's. Now, look, Donald Trump has stuck his neck out there saying, I don't believe her. And I'm going to go make some fries and do something she's never done. If you really worked at McDonald's, why wouldn't you slam dunk that one? Pull out some kind of tax record, something, a picture, pull up somebody that you used to work with at the McDonald's. Find that person. She hasn't tried to defend that claim at all. And Donald Trump thinks she's out and out lying, and I'm not sure, but it seemed like to me that if you were going to be accused of telling a fib and you wanted to fight back and make Donald Trump look like the jerk, you would find somebody who would back up your story. I wonder why that hasn't happened. He went to McDonald's in Pennsylvania on Sunday. And stepped up his criticism of Harris and dug into his claim that she never worked at a fast food chain. Now, McDonald's has gone on records, and they've sort of responded to this. Some people are really, on the other side of the equation, are really mad at McDonald's for doing this, allowing Trump to use them as sort of a backdrop. And they're saying, listen, we open our doors to everyone. He went to, you got to understand that these McDonald's are owned by local people. And they're a chain, but local businesses don't have to ask the chain for permission to do something like this. As we've seen, our brand has been a fixture of conversation this election cycle. While we've not sought this, it's a testament to how much McDonald's resonates with so many Americans. McDonald's does not endorse candidates for elected office and remains true in this race for the next president. We are not red or blue. We are golden. We're the Golden Arches. Upon learning of the former president's request, we approached it through the lens of one of our core values. We open our doors to everyone. It's the same approach that franchisees have invited Vice President Kamala Harris and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to their restaurants in order to share how McDonald's provides meaningful pathways to economic opportunity and feeds and fosters local communities. Man, somebody in the PR department working overtime. The visit came week after Trump taunted Harris for her experience, saying that she didn't believe it. Harris says she worked at a McDonald's while earning her degree at Howard University, an experience she frequently referenced in her political campaigns to connect with middle-class voters. I worked at McDonald's. Well, where's the evidence of that? I'm trying to think now, like, for example, could I prove some of the jobs that I did? Well, I mean, I could call up my sister who could back up some of the stories, but I mean, a lot of the people that I work for are probably no longer around, but I bet I could find somebody who would back it up. And then there's always a thing, tax records, I mean, you can go back and find out, show what you, well, I don't know that it shows where it came from. I don't know, but I think you could probably, with the resources at her disposal, she just turned 60. So she was what? That's 40 some odd years ago that she was working in a McDonald's, probably, if she worked there when she was going to college.
Yep.
Yeah, she should be able to come up with something.
Maybe a photograph.
A photograph, of course, but again, I have one picture of me. I think you may have seen it. Working at a radio station when I was about 19 years old. Mm-hmm. But I don't have any evidence that I worked at a TV repair shop, but I did.
I'm sure there's someone out there that could vouch for you. I remember that.
My sister could.
I don't know if that wouldn't count.
Beyond that, I mean, so somebody that I work with, I doubt anybody's still alive.
Maybe a customer.
I doubt it. I mean, gosh, I wouldn't know where to even find a customer but I did, but I guess it would be hard, but not impossible. Surely, with so much talk about it, she could find somebody said, oh yeah, I remember Kamala. She worked the front counter. Nobody has come forward to back up her story. And it seems like to me, if you really wanted to, if that was the truth and you really wanted to stick it to Trump, you could find somebody who'd back up the story.
Does your little social security thing list the jobs, I wonder?
I don't know. No, I mean, I just looked at my Social Security records not long ago, and it tells you what you made on an annual basis.
Yeah, but not where.
It doesn't tell you where it came from. And I mean, surely it's in there somewhere, but online, no. I wouldn't know how to pull that up.
All right.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, it's like first year, I made like $600.
Big money, man.
Yeah, big money for me at the time. I'm a little concerned about the farmers. We got a letter. I want to hit this again because I think it's so sad, what's happening in eastern Tennessee and in North Carolina. And the congressional delegation in the state of Tennessee is sending a letter to the Speaker of the House and the Majority Leader of the Senate and others, just talking about how bad not only are people in, FEMA's going to help a lot of people, hopefully, in eastern Tennessee, but what about the farmers? Does FEMA really help them out? In Tennessee, they say some areas receive 10 to 15 inches of rainfall. In addition to runoff from surrounding states, it drowned the crops and littered the field with debris, ruining ready-to-harvest crops and forage, and flooded pastures, equipment loss, distressed livestock have all left farmers questioning how they will move forward and how they will provide for their families. Wow, hadn't thought about that. Producers already engulfed by the ongoing farm financial crisis will require meaningful disaster assistance to stand up their operations and continue farming. So they're asking Congress to step up to the plate and help the farmers. I'm assuming not only in Tennessee, but also in some of the other areas that were hit by such hard flooding. Farmers, God bless them, they have such a rough life. You live hand to mouth some years. Some years you have a good crop, some years you don't. Some years you get flooded. It's just a hard thing. But we need to protect our farmers, and I'm really concerned about it. Then there's this story from justthenews.com. And it really lays out in a great and detailed way something that I have suspected about FEMA and some other agencies in our federal government. Listen to this. This is going to make you angry. Many Americans assume FEMA is only focused on helping respond to disasters, but a closer look at FEMA's recent internal documents, spending, and public action show that FEMA has broadened its focus to handling the flow of migrants into the U.S. We knew that. But, apparently, in a big way, that was one of their big priorities, and attempting to double down on DEI initiatives on gender, sexuality, and race. FEMA's 22 through 26 strategic plan, an overarching document created by agencies to lay out their priorities, named its first goal not as disaster relief. And that's what they should be doing. That ought to be job one. That really should be the only job. No, they have focused, and number one on their list was to address issues concerning diversity, equity, and inclusion. It is the first goal the plan promised to instill equity as a foundation of emergency management. Its second named priority is to lead the whole of community in climate resilience. FEMA's readiness comes in as the third goal of the plan. Quote, diversity, equity, and inclusion cannot be optional. They must be core components of how the agency conducts itself internally and executes its mission. FEMA makes clear in its plan that equity, which includes racial identity, be taken into consideration when distributing aid, highlighting that there should be equitable and fair distribution of assistance to all those affected, especially those disproportionately impacted. You know, I don't care whether you red, white, yellow, purple, green, or orange. I don't care. When you need help, you need help. And getting that help there in the fastest way ought to be the prime mission of FEMA. And again, I have to say it every time because I don't want people yelling at me. I don't have a problem with this idea of diversity. No, that's a good thing. I don't have any problem at all with this idea of inclusion. I want everybody to be included. Nobody should be excluded. But it's this equity thing. This equity word really bugs me because equity sounds like equality, but it's not. It's very different. Equality is that everybody is treated the same. Equity is that everybody has the same outcome. And, you know, I don't necessarily believe it. I think when we get down to it, if it is what I'm hearing is that FEMA is really blowing it in Eastern Tennessee and North Carolina and down in Florida, I think we're going to find it's because they were focused a lot more on DEI than they were on actually making sure that they were helping people in dire need. 50 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock. You don't have to wait until November to start taking your country back. We can get into the fight now with Coin, the conservative credit card. Instead of funneling millions to the left like other cards, Coin advances conservative values and conservative charities. Earn cash back while fighting back. Apply now at coin.com. Now, let me spell that for you. It's an unusual spelling. COIGN.com. Coin with the G silent, coin.com. Terms apply. Go to coin.com/disclosure for full details.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Matt Murphy in the middle of downtown Franklin, Tennessee. We've talked so much about Savory Spice. I thought, why not show you the place? So let's go on in and see what's popping at Savory Spice. As I've always said, you will smell the spices even before you walk in. I can smell them right here in the doorway. Come on in and let's introduce you to the one and only Holly, who is the owner and proprietor of Savory Spice. Say hey, Holly.
Hello, everyone.
Now, enough about Holly. Let's talk about spicy and easy products like the incredible taco soup, which, as I said, you put this in a crock pot, you put all the ingredients that it tells you to buy right there, you put the spices in, and it's so easy. So if you don't know what you're doing around the kitchen, it's a perfect way to find your way around the kitchen, as is the Mediterranean dill risotto. Now, for the holidays, pumpkin pie spice. What doesn't it have, Holly?
Pumpkin.
Doesn't have any pumpkin in it. That's a fun fact for all of you kids out there. Now, if you stop by Savory Spice, either in the Franklin location or at L&L Market, you can get yourself a sample of the dill dip, which is my absolute favorite. Just tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Savory Spice with purchase now. So come by Franklin or L&L Market in Nashville and come see Holly and the entire crew at Savory Spice.